Few seconds.
All right, we'll call this regularly scheduled session of Fiscal Court into order. And today, on the 8th of March, we'll start out with a invocation from Magistrate Jamey.
Let us pray. Gracious Heavenly Father, we lift up and pray for Ukraine. Father, for the people of Ukraine that are fighting for their land and their freedom. Be with them. Father, we also ask that you be with our world leaders. Give them wisdom as they make the decisions related to Ukraine and all the other issues facing our world. Father, be with our court this morning. Give us the wisdom to make the decisions that are in the best interest of our citizens of this great county. And Father, we lift up our men and women that are standing in harm's way around the world, and all of our first responders here in this community and around our country. And Father, be with all those that are sick and ill. Give them health and courage to fight on. And it's in your precious Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, if you'll join me in our Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can you get that?
Oh, yeah.
All right, next on the agenda is prior meeting minutes.
Judge, point of privilege. I want to commend our Magistrate Cullen because he's talked to the school system about the Pledge of Allegiance. Magistrate, comments?
Oh, my daughter, who's in high school, had mentioned that they don't say the Pledge of Allegiance every day over at the high school, and I made a comment to Mark Wade about it, and he just said it's been that way for a while, but they've reinstituted it, and the kids have actually started saying it every day, and they've really appreciated it, and so it's nice to, you know, little things you don't think mean much, but if you mention it to people, they put it into action, so it's kind of nice.
They mean more once they're lost and don't
Right.
occur.
Oh, exactly. So.
Well, I appreciate that.
But it was just a conversation that my daughter.
Is that system-wide, do you believe?
Well, I mean, I know in the middle school and the elementary school they say it, or at least at Woodlawn and at the middle school, but for some reason the high school they just hadn't been saying it for a number of years. So, anyway.
Well, thank you.
Much appreciated.
Yeah.
All
Thank
right.
you, Judge.
Okay.
Tom.
Everybody had a chance to look at the meeting minutes. How's the iPads doing?
Good.
How are they doing?
Good.
Right? Good.
They're fantastic.
Good.
I do have something.
Okay.
Thanks to Tom again on this one. Is he not here, sir?
Nothing.
Oh, sorry. And committee reports under Tom. Let me get back to it here. Sorry. It says Magistrate Cullen also explained that Highway 52 being widened is a lower priority currently with other projects in the plan. I don't want it to be lower. It's now. Tom, how would you? I would just kind of look back to see what I said because.
Okay, so you probably gave a status of where it is, but that's not your opinion.
No, it's definitely not my opinion. I think what I was referring to was with the city had pushed up one of theirs, which made 52 a lower priority.
Yeah, that's a critical artery, so.
Yeah, I went by it. I was on it like 4 times this weekend.
So you just want a point of clarification?
Please.
Yeah. Okay. Is there any other corrections or changes to the minutes? All those, let's say, the entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Second motion made by Magistrate Dell, second by Magistrate Cullen. Discussion has occurred. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, and motion carries. Thank you. All right, next, we need to approve some bills, Mariah. Good morning.
Okay, so our bills to be paid and approved to be paid this morning total $3,144,107.15. And just so that you're aware, the standing orders paid out these last couple of weeks totaled at $546,325.53.
Move we pay the bills as presented.
Second. Okay, bills as presented, motion made by Master Gay, second Master, I think, Kaywood? Short, okay, Short. Questions?
I just want to point out one thing in here. There was a jacket that was purchased, which may not seem like much, but it was $155.19. It's on the first page there, first or second page. That was for EMS. And Director Rogers and I were just talking, and I just appreciate the good work that Director Rogers does, and he's very careful with taxpayer dollars. The jackets that they were getting were $240, and they've gone up to $420.
What?
Yeah, it's their jackets. They're heavier kind of winter jackets with the striping on them, so that they're visible or whatever. And so he was able to go in and find not only something less than the $420, but it was less than what we had been buying before. So I commend him always trying to be a good steward with the taxpayer dollars. So.
Point well made. Any other comments or discussions on the bills?
Only thing I'd like to comment to, I'm glad that we're doing a lot of business with tangible office equipment.
Yes.
We got a lot of static over buying a copier that was a small amount according to what we're paying now. So I'm just glad that we're spending our money locally.
I am too.
I'm happy to entertain a conversation about replacing that printer in there with one from DOE.
I don't think we want to revisit.
Okay, all right.
No.
Not today.
Not quite yet.
It's doing well. All right,
I'll throw
anybody
some
else?
water on it.
Anybody else? All those in favor of approving the bills as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign.
Could I ask a question, sir? Not pertaining to these bills,
Yes,
but
sir.
on the checking in for the conference, is that, now that we have the credit card set up to pay for those expenses, how's that gonna work when we check in? Will it already be paid, or will it pay? How y'all gonna handle it?
If I may.
Oh, if now's not the right time, that's okay, but I just,
There's a credit card authorization form that the hotels send to us,
okay.
and we fill out all the necessary information there. Those are sent back in with the tax exempt information. So when you get there,
Yeah.
every once in a while there will be a small tweak, a little glitch there, but 9 times out of 10, you get there, there's no problem, you go right in.
Just want to know kind of what the procedure was since we've changed it up a little bit.
So when we get there today or tomorrow, we'll have no problem.
And if you do, call me. If you don't have my number, I'll give it to you before you leave.
They are going to ask for a credit card.
That's for extras.
That,
Yeah, that's for
extra
incidental.
expense, yeah. For incidental, yeah. They always charge.
And you do that with your own personal,
Right.
for
Yeah.
Yeah.
whatever, the extras.
It seems how they always charge me something on that card.
Really?
Yeah. I have to get it corrected every time.
Thank you.
Did that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we approved the bills. Thank you, Mariah.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Mariah.
you. And moving on to budget transfers. Darlene?
If I may, these kind of scanned in odd order, not the way I intended them for. I actually wanted to add the new line items first. I was adding 3 line items, one for drug screens and one for background checks. And I think I need to have, there should have been And I made a mistake and I did not add that on there. Okay, anyway.
Do we want to take care of it under your spot here later?
I was gonna say, yeah, I was gonna say, I'll need to add something else
Yeah.
on there because I did not, but,
Why don't you, we'll come back to that
Okay.
in 11. What about, the
okay. So we'll do the other two.
budget transfers,
Yeah, the budgeted cash
cash
transfer,
transfers?
$100,000 from general fund to EMS. And we are good in there right now, but we will have a payroll in a week or so, so this will just help cover that.
That's the budget transfer.
And that's, yeah, that's the budgeted cash transfer.
I'll make a motion, we approve that.
Second.
Okay, that was the cash transfer, is that correct?
Yes.
Darlene?
Yeah.
Okay, $100,000. And motion to approve by Magistrate Gage, second by Magistrate Short. Is there any questions on that? Comments? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries unanimously. All right, thank you. Is that it for right now? We'll come back under 11 for the budget item.
Yeah, I was gonna say we'll do the other two.
All right, moving right along. Gentlemen, I think it's time that we have a discussion about opening the court back up to the public.
And I so move.
And
Second.
I know we've had some
Aye.
members of the court that have had some reservations about it, but I think we're transitioning to a new phase of life, so to speak. I'll choose my words carefully on that. And I would recommend that we open back up now. We'll have to reconfigure this courtroom naturally, but those who plan to attend going forward in the future, should we all agree on that, just know that we are restricted from 6-foot social distancing in this room.
Yeah.
We can't comply with that if we open to the public.
Yeah, I
No
think
problem
we're-
with me.
Yeah, I think it's time to do that, and move forward with that, so I second.
Anybody else
Motion.
have any reservations or?
I'm getting great feedback from my constituents about their eagerness to have the opportunity to come, so that's why I made the motion.
Okay, the motion is to open the court back up to public access, starting with the next court session, which is 22 March, I believe. And
More discussion, Judge?
we'll wait till a second to discuss.
I second.
You seconded it? Okay, seconded, but, all right, now you can discuss.
There are several who are hoping that we might have a meeting or two, and I recommended 2 years ago that we might try to have one in the evening at the library. And I hope that we can schedule that sometime in the future so that there is room for many more people to come, should they choose. I know we won't consider it now on this motion, but I'd like to think about that sometime in the future.
Well, that would be all right to consider. I would hope that those people, those who are aware of pulsing the people, is the courthouse to the people.
Right.
That's their opportunity. They can't get here during this time frame
Right.
to have the opportunity to meet the courthouse and much of the staff that, you know, covers everyday life.
And we had great success in Perryville recently, so.
Yeah, and these being, I think the fact that we now record them and they're kept, that people can see them at any time at their convenience.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussions on opening up? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you for that.
Judge, on one other thing related, I guess, is are we still under a state of emergency? And
Yes.
when do we want that to expire?
When the legislature, I guess, instructs that the governor's state of emergency has subsided, I don't know that that has occurred, but we're only on that because we're still under a state of emergency, which has been discussed in the General Assembly, if I'm not mistaken, that they are wanting to put an end date to that, and that has not yet happened legislatively or by executive order, to my knowledge.
Okay. That's all I need to know. Yeah, I wasn't sure if that, I guess it does make sense with us being an extension of the state coming down from the top.
Otherwise, if I did it, we could be out, but the rest of the state be under it, technically speaking, and so is that right or wrong?
Right, no, I got it. Wasn't sure.
Okay. So, next, AirMedCare. This is an interesting thing that I had presented to me, and I wanted to bring before the court to discuss, and come on, move. There we go. The AirMedCare network is the helicopter life flight like we have over here at the airport in Junction City. And you know, if you are in an accident, they would take you if it requires, if dispatch or 911 says that you need to be airlifted to such and such, they pay. It's like an insurance for that, and they cover it. Well, if you see on your charts there, and I can have the young lady, Devonna, come in and make a presentation if you're interested, but for $60 a year, at that number on the bottom of that chart, if you need a helicopter flight for emergency, or any member of your family, household, needs that flight, even if they're away at college, if they're a member of your immediate family, they're covered, okay? So I was thinking, if it was the court's desire, and they showed, and there's interest in this, I can have her come, she can talk to it, she can answer all your questions. There's not that many here. The $60 a month covers your family.
Isn't that a
Year.
Year.
Yeah.
Did I say month?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't mean that. I meant once a year.
Yeah.
Once a year. It's an annual fee. And I would like to consider as a benefit for all county employees that we consider during budget time that we pay that $60 as a benefit, added benefit to county employees.
Judge, if we can find the money, I'll just give you an example. A very dear friend of ours, 6 or 8 years ago, so the stat flight would probably be much more expensive today, especially with fuel costs. 6 or 8 years ago, our friend was broadsided in Washington County. The bill was over $10,000. And thank goodness my wife and I have had this type of program for quite a number of years. I hope I never have to use it. It's like any insurance. You want somebody else to use it, not yourself. But it's just an amazingly inexpensive insurance policy.
Like you, Tom, I paid, me and my wife and my family for, oh gosh, a long time.
Got the sticker on the truck.
We bought it a long time ago too.
We do too.
You see on that map on the bottom of your screen,
John, we bought that many years ago when somebody made a presentation.
all those blue states are where this service is active and provided.
Yeah.
All those blue states.
So it doesn't matter where you are.
Does not matter where you are.
I can't recall if it's overseas.
Yeah, there's airbags everywhere.
Maybe, and I can't answer that
Or
one.
she could.
But she could if, but I'm just thinking for that, whoever has the calculator up, 188 employees times 60, it would be a great employee benefit for not only themselves, but their family, to have that peace of mind if they needed that life-saving transport, that there's something that I just want you to consider it.
No, I think it's definitely worth considering and talking about, yeah.
And when we talked with the vendor on that, we could find out if the family of 2, 3, 4, 5 wanted to buy separately from our budget a family plan. I think it would also be quite cost effective.
Well, your health insurance doesn't pay for this.
Does not.
Nope.
No, it doesn't.
And if you don't have this, belong to this, it is real. I mean, $5,000, that's what, yeah, that, and,
Well, just think about how many times you see those helicopters that fly over top of you. I mean, it happens a lot more.
Think how many car accidents we have here in the county.
Yeah.
We
we
don't
had traffic tied up
we don't know
yesterday
when someone's gonna
Every-
run over us.
right there on bypass.
If you're in that chopper, you're pretty bad off. You need time.
Yeah, you do.
Yes, you do.
I
I
would
agree with you.
suggest that maybe a presentation on the agenda sometime.
Yes.
Would
It's a regular.
next court be acceptable to you guys?
Very timely.
Maybe it might be something, you know, you might want to do this with all of your employees, let them know about the service that, you know, that, so, you know, it's a thought.
Do you need a motion to that effect, sir, or you're okay with just putting it on?
I'm just okay with putting it on there.
Okay.
Just as a point of reference, if we did it for everybody, and that's a county employee, and the court or the county, we paid for it as a added benefit to them and their families, that's $11,280.
You might talk to our HR director, since we have one now that handles those kinds of things.
Well, he thought it was an excellent idea, conceptual.
I think that'd be the best money we could ever spend.
So
That's an excellent benefit.
I'm gonna have Devonna come in for about 10 minutes next court session.
That's my understanding that, and I've heard Mayor Douglas talk about this, he covers everybody in the city limits.
I didn't understand that.
The mayor of Junction City has this for every citizen in the corporate limits of Junction City.
I don't
Which
want.
no, I'm not saying we go
No,
there.
I don't wanna get into it, but there are certain restrictions to that availability.
Yeah, well, I understand that, but I'm just saying that's, you know, that's a great benefit, and Ronnie's neck of the woods too, but,
It's a bit apples and oranges, but that $11,000 is just about what this friend of ours had to pay
For one
for
trip.
one trip, and we're covering 180 people.
Yeah. Well, I'll get Devonna to come in. She lives down in southern Kentucky, but I really appreciated her coming by to see us. And, you know, these rates that you see on here are group rates, but they don't really have something to cover X thousand people in the whole county.
No, I understand.
So, anyway, so I just wanted to bring that up to talk about and see what the attitude of the court was towards something like this, and we'll move forward to bringing her in next court meeting to discuss it. Next, we have Mr. Preston Miles is going to give us present a proclamation on Earth Day. We lost Darlene? She usually would be the gatekeeper.
Good morning, sir. You're on. Your turn? Okay.
Wish they'd fix this thing to stay on, man.
I know.
oh, hey, it's fixed. You need me to do it real quick?
Driving me crazy.
Good morning, Preston.
Morning.
Everybody, this is Preston Miles.
Thank you for the opportunity to come before you and ask for your endorsement of our local Earth Day Festival. I have presented a copy of a proclamation for your consideration. I appreciate the support that the county has given to this effort for several years. In fact, Angie Muncie is a member of our planning committee and active in setting
I'll make a motion to
programs.
approve it.
Second.
Motion to approve the proclamation to be read at a later date, and it's been it was made by Magistrate Simmons, seconded by Magistrate Gay. They have this in their iPads, Preston, any discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I invite you to attend, and should you be able to attend on that Saturday, April 23rd, we would love to have a public reading of the.
That where you'd like for it to be read at the Earth Day event?
Yeah, maybe I'll communicate with you and find a convenient time.
Yeah, that'll work.
You're in charge of weather?
Are you in charge of weather?
We are at the extension office now, which is a wonderful facility. And if we get bad weather, we can all scurry under the pavilion.
Are you going to charge for like booths, or is it?
No charge, and no charge for exhibitors. And at this point, we have 32 confirmed exhibitors. 2 food trucks, live music from 11 to 4, 11 to 3.
I have a victim's advocate. I was thinking that might be a good to have her there that day, have a table.
Please drop me a note.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be very appropriate.
This was out at BCTC about 3 years ago.
No, it had been at BCTC,
Yeah.
and we had been down at Michael Smith Park, but with the construction of the new pavilion, it's just an ideal location, good parking, those sorts of
That was a
things.
good event.
Yeah. Look forward to seeing you.
See you.
Thank you, have a good day.
See you, Preston.
All right, and next we have Miss Kay Shawler. And I'm excited to hear her presentation.
Okay?
Yes,
I'm not sure we've met Tom Ellis.
yes, oh, we've met several times. Come on, come on. Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Joe Myers and I are here today on behalf of the committee. Rebecca's closing on her way, and so but we do have a full committee, thank you. And it's a very diverse and really hardworking, good group. I'm very happy about that. So just a couple comments, and then I'm going to open that to see what your all's thoughts are. Thank you for your time today. Commission has worked many hours on the revisions. We've been working on this, I think, for about 3 months. Each member took certain sections to write, and then we brought them back to the full commission for review. However, if it was not for Ms. Rebecca Kernodle, it would not be in the form that you got, because she has put all that to, so we all sent her our parts, and she spent that. We would have had to hire somebody, I'm sorry, Julie, if it wasn't for the work that she did. So it wouldn't be in the edited version that you see. We hope you find it clear, comprehensive. We've researched it, we've reviewed it, we've discussed it, we've edited it. It's time for you to look at it and see what your thoughts are. So that's what I think that went out in the packet today. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're just open for, all of this came from codes that existed somewhere in the state. We might have taken it and edited or made it fit more appropriately into our ordinance. As it said in that cover letter, everything that was the old ordinance is in there. And then with some parts that we did add that we saw in other codes that seemed appropriate. So we're open
I
for
think
any
it's well
questions or
done, and
comments.
I'll make a motion, we approve it as presented.
I second.
Okay.
Okay, I hope everybody's ready.
Well,
First reading.
Is it in first
So-
reading?
we have an ethics ordinance, so this would be an amendment to our ethics ordinance. I think this should be counted as the first reading.
First
Okay.
reading?
I've been unjustly accused of wordsmithing.
Unjustly, he said. What in the world?
Have you
You
all,
and Louis Johnson need to get together. Louis is our wordsmith.
have you all ratified it from your end at this point, or if I got with Julie, and rather than taking time in court, because there's a couple of things in there, 44 pages, folks, and they realize that we're putting a burden on them to review this every 4th year and work it again. That's just one of the issues that I think is fair, but
Right.
there are some smaller issues that I'd like to,
Okay.
with your indulgence, get with Julie and share those.
Absolutely. We had thought there would probably be some feedback. We put that in there because what we didn't want to have happen, we found other counties that do that routinely, review. And we didn't want it to get so far removed that it took the enormous amount of time that it took now to revise a 27-year-old code.
Right.
And thought that there might be revisions you would look at, and they might be small. There were some things we put in and we thought, let's see how this works even over the next year. And if it doesn't, then we could make a small amendment, but knowing that very possibly could happen.
I'm very familiar with these from 2 different corporations, and it's a superb document.
Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you.
I think it's well done, and
Thank you.
so,
We have a motion made by Magistrate Gaines, seconded by Magistrate Ellis. And on advice of council, this would be considered the first reading of an amendment to the existing ordinance, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Everybody understand?
Any other comments or questions?
Just for procedure purposes, if we have some questions about it, is this, you want us to ask them now?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
I made some notes as I went through. First, I want to thank you all for doing it. It's a tremendous task no way what I'm gonna ask
Okay.
is any way negative, okay? No,
Okay.
please don't. I just had some clarifications. Section 11, if
You
you
want to
would,
take
please.
that? I have it on my iPad, but we have a copy here. I'm going to make note to section 11.
Yes, receipt of gifts,
Mm-hmm.
$100 was what? Is the $100 a one-time gift, or is it over a period of time to total up to $100? That
We
came
actually
from
had that discussion somewhere, didn't we? But the thing that you'd have to put in there is to whether it was, you'd have to put a time period. Would it be a calendar year? Would it be, is that what you're?
Let me give you a case in
Okay.
point that I thought of.
Okay.
So, when we go to conferences, we have vendors that may take somebody to dinner. They may do it for the spring conference, they may do it for the summer conference, they may do it for the winter conference, and when you put the three together, it's over $100.
Exceeding 100.
And
That amount was in there, again, we had to use something, to get started, and so thought we would get your review. It could either be, that amount could be different, or it could be a time period.
On a calendar year or
Yeah.
something? would you-
Well, I just didn't know, for clarification, does it need
Correct,
to be,
correct.
does it need to be in there? I mean,
I
whether
think
it's
that-
one, and you all pitch in and
Yeah.
Our
But
employees.
Phil knows a lot of folks, and he gets taken to dinner,
A lot.
conferences, a lot.
Yeah,
And over a year,
it's
it
gonna
could
be
very
more
well
than
be, it's gonna
$100.
be over
Right.
$100. And
Right.
I don't want Phil to get in trouble, I
Right.
just want to.
No, we don't want Phil to get in trouble.
Places that we
Oh,
go, the places we go, you probably won't have to go but twice, to get over
So-
$100. But I have a question to follow up on that. Does that also mean that contributions to a candidate can't be over $100?
No.
No,
No.
no.
That's
That's
totally
separate
separate.
section.
That's in a whole different category under political activity.
Okay.
Okay, so,
But I'd like to comment, and I'm so glad that Magistrate Kaywood brought it up. If you go to 16, there are honoraria that come up, same concept but a different section.
right.
And in the past, in my corporate career, I was speaking 30 times a year. And there were times that I would accept, but gift it to a charity. And if we could have some language, as I say, and get with Julie.
Okay.
Because that 20 or 30 times of doing something, doesn't happen on every occasion, but representing the corporation, here representing the court, I'd like that latitude if that were to happen.
Okay.
Take back to John, you had some others.
Yes, I got some, the procedure for having us fill the form out,
For the financial
Yes,
disclosure
ma'am.
form.
is that up to us to remember to do that?
No.
Okay, good.
No, you will be given, much like you do each year, that will
Okay.
be sent to you,
Okay.
and you will have a cover letter, it's generally
Right.
what's supposed to happen. You'll
Well-
have a cover letter with that, and it will be sent to you.
Okay, well, Missy was kind to, I think.
Yeah, it's
give
due
us-
March 31st.
So-
31st,
End of
30th.
March,
Yeah.
correct.
I just wanted to
End
be
of March.
sure that
Right.
it's not,
No,
because
she
we
had
won't remember.
created, there weren't a lot of things in place yet a few years ago, so she has a list now
Yes, ma'am.
of the 22 people who are to receive that form, and then I give her a cover letter that goes with it.
Okay, okay. Section 25.
Okay.
I don't know if I wrote, yeah, I'm trying. My question pertained, as I was going through this, we appoint, the judge appoints board people to represent us on certain committees and things like that. Do they have to fill out that same form?
The financial disclosure form is supposed to be for individuals. Thank you. Come on in, Rebecca. Again, I've already applauded you. That wouldn't be this form if it wasn't for you, okay? The intent was, I'm sorry, ask your question again.
Okay, if we appoint somebody to represent the county on a certain committee,
Who's to have the
do
form?
they have to fill out the form?
It really, and I believe states in here, it's if you have procurement responsibility, if you have,
If you handle money.
if you handle money,
Oh,
if you
okay.
are
Handle money.
someone who can basically, handle money, approve purchases.
Right.
Okay, so
Which certainly would include
we-
you all and some others.
We appoint people for convention bureau, for instance. My question really was generated by that. Do they have to fill one out?
Do you have
Yeah,
oversight?
They would. In my personal opinion, they would because they do manage a budget.
Okay.
If they are responsible for it, they would be included, you're right. If this body is overseeing any purchases that some other group makes, you're in charge, you know, for
Okay.
that. But if they're not.
In that case, no, we would,
Okay.
we would not really oversee it, but we make the appointments to those who manage
Okay.
separately.
Okay, that's why it's in there that we would get from you, at least initially, and then annually update who really should be subject to this, and then we could get that from you just as that, because there's information we wouldn't have on that, so that would be great.
And does it, I forgot, does it address species like the Fire Protection Board? That doesn't, we make appointments to the board, but they're a separate taxing entity, like, you know, the library and so on and so forth, who handles financials, so.
We do state in here, you all clarify with me too, about who is to fill it out, kind of thing. So let's see if when to file. Rebecca, you've probably written it so many times.
I think there was.
Who must file? On section 18 right now is a statement about who must file, okay? So
Okay.
we do have nominees and candidates for elected office, board appointments, employees with procurement authority exceeding $1,000 per annum, members of county agencies with procurement or regulatory authority, and attorneys hired by boards and agencies. So right now, we've got section 18 that would outline who needs to file, if there are any, but we also have in there that we would get from you, that you would file with us a chart that shows any departments or divisions that are subject to this ordinance, including any changes in personnel. Because we've had changes in personnel sometimes throughout the year, and we're like, oh, okay, if that person comes in, then they need to fill the form out as well.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know if that finishes answering your
No,
question.
that's it, it helps, thank you.
Okay.
Section 26, I'm getting close to the end.
That's all right, we anticipated.
Alternative members.
Alternate members.
Alternate members. Now, you have somebody who has to take themselves out because it's a conflict of interest. And then you have somebody that comes in and fills that spot. And then it says they're on for a year. The person who had to rescind themselves from being in it, are they out of that obligation for a year?
No.
Okay.
Alternate, what we've seen happen over the years that we've done in committee is if we've had someone maybe with an extended illness that was out for a period of time,
Okay.
that alternate member would be someone who might be able to step in at that point. But if someone just recused, generally we would only recuse ourselves for a particular case or situation.
Right, yes, ma'am.
And so then they would be back on for that. We've also now with a full committee, it's easier for us to have a quorum if someone
Right.
needs to do that.
But
So,
the alternate, the
Alternate.
alternate, the person who's filling in is on for a year. If the discussion is over with, that one who, the alternate is still there for the rest of the
correct,
year.
they just
though.
wouldn't vote.
Oh, this wouldn't
would
have
not
to be
vote.
a non-vote.
That's
Okay.
correct. So
That
if I'm
makes a
alternate,
difference.
I might step in for a
Yes, ma'am.
case that Joe has recused and vote in that case. And then I'm back out, okay, if for some reason we didn't have a
Gotcha.
quorum.
Okay.
But no, they would not be a voting
A
member.
voting member, oh, okay, because then you got
Correct.
more,
We thought in the long run, and we saw this in several counties, that it would be a way to bring in new members, let them be somewhat familiar with what the commission is doing and the kinds of cases and the
Yeah.
history we have and things we're doing. And then when there's a vacancy, if it's appropriate and that person is interested, you've got someone that you could bring on.
Somewhat,
Been trained and everything.
Correct.
somewhat related to that, I noticed an interesting thing, and Counselor, you can answer for us. You have 5 members, 3 make a quorum, but a 2-to-1 vote does not make action. There can't be anything ratified. It has to be 3 who are there. How are we, if we have a quorum, and it's a minimal quorum, don't we ratify with our vote?
I think so.
Which is different than this is written. So you can have a quorum, but you can't pass anything if you don't have all 3 votes, the way I read it last night.
I'm not sure
I wish I could
I
find, wait a minute,
recall
I might
that
have
being in there. I don't recall us, we've all looked at this like how many times, but I don't recall it being there. I'll review it
Yeah,
again
yeah.
and look at it.
I'm sorry I didn't write down the section when I read that
Okay.
one, but, yeah, that's, because I think we can pass with a minimum.
I don't think we excluded that we could, but I put a question that we'll go back
I
and
wish
look
I'd
for anything like that.
Noted that for you,
I
I'm
must
sorry.
admit that even though it's a lot more pages, we did increase the font.
Yes.
From the old ordinance, so part of it was, and we created more headings, which hopefully is easier to find something. We will have a table of contents as well that will work on that. But, so that did make it seem a lot longer than what we had before, but some of those changes were just easier to read with a larger font.
Right.
I guess I have a question. John, are you done, or yes?
I'm close.
Okay.
Okay.
Section 10. Personal behavior and conduct. That has got to be difficult because everybody's different and judgments are different. And and it's just a comment. It's going to be, I would think it would be difficult from y'all's perspective as to.
It could be. I think, Joe, we used that phrase that we talked about when we get back to if we're going to have a finding, the phrase that the clear and convincing, and it has to be clear and convincing evidence. It can't just be my opinion. I think it's the value also of having a 5-member group that we all come from some different backgrounds. We're all, I think, have a different perspective that we put in there, discuss and hash things out. And there have been things, forgive me for using different language, but when I was on the State Board for Psychology, we used to say there were things that were illegal, things that were unethical, and sometimes things just tacky. So they didn't necessarily fall into an unethical category, okay, or that just maybe what good practice, but it still didn't meet the standard of clear and convincing that it was something that was unethical. It is. I must say that a lot of some of these things could be subjective in some regard. I think that we might make a finding, nothing says that this group couldn't then disagree.
Well, in the world of social media too, I think it gets in it, and I think you all didn't really hit that.
No, we didn't.
I understand why.
Yeah.
But I noticed it, and I guess that's going to be covered in our employee manual, maybe. Is that right, Julie?
There are a lot of things that are in there.
So, okay. Yeah. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Answering my questions. Thank you, ma'am.
Absolutely.
The one question I guess I have, and I've heard about this from other counties, I don't know where this came from, in section 18, who must file. I think all of those descriptions are good, and I'd just like to hear what the rest of the court has to say about nominees and candidates for elected county office, because until they are elected by the people, they're John Q. public citizen.
Okay.
And why do we have the right to know, require them a financial filing until they're elected, where they could only at that point have governance over any procurement or monies?
I think that might be a state or other requirement, is it not?
That if you file, you have to present something financial.
We did, yeah.
I'm not aware of that. Counselor, are you aware of that?
No. Don't recall ever having to do a financial statement until I actually got elected.
Yeah.
Then
I
you
do it once a
did.
year.
Right.
But
we didn't have this code. Okay,
I'll definitely research.
I would like that research, because I've heard some objection to that by other counties going through their filing deadlines. And I just thought it might be a violation of Privacy Act information until you are a public servant elected by the people. That's kind of my thoughts.
Okay. Chris, I've made note of
Makes
these,
sense.
but if that's one that you could give us advice on, that would be helpful.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Got it.
So, any other questions or discussions? This would be considered our first reading, and we're making notes and potential changes to this for the second reading of which the.
Sorry, Rebecca.
Rebecca, would you have anything you'd like to say?
She's tired of it. It's like, it's time for them, it's time to put it in their hands. She said, okay. Joe?
It's really well done.
No, thank you.
It's really well done.
Oh, it is very well done. Very well done.
I had a two-way 10-hour bus trip this weekend, so I had lots of time to enjoy reading it.
Well, thank you very much, sir. Thank you. That's helpful to know if there's something in there that wasn't clear, it would have surfaced.
So we'll now take a vote on the motion before us as to consider this a first reading amendment to the existing ordinance, subject to some changes that will make go forward for the second reading. Which would you guys like to come back to hear what they might be that we come up with in them?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
So
We're invested now,
Real
right?
quick.
Did you? Who's second?
Mr.
Tell us,
Ellis.
stop, please.
under section 17, political activities, C, does this
C?
basically protect people from, if they get a job, that they cannot be made to switch party affiliations? I know that's been an issue here in the past.
Joe, if you want to speak to that too, I think it does mean, I'll read it out, no officer, employee of the county, or any candidate or county government officer may promise an appointment or use their influence to obtain an appointment to any position as a reward for political activity or contribution. Not specifically sure about changing parties, but it would be if by doing that you made a promise, that would be.
I know in the past there's been kind of a little unwritten thing that if we're going to hire you, got to go across the hall and change your political affiliation. And so I want to make sure that employees are protected in that way too, that were to come up.
Yeah, I think in this section, and there easily talks about in the first part too, that there's no request for any futures. I think the whole part really speaks to no coercion, no.
Okay. As long as they're protected.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Vote is, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. It's first reading.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate you all today. You have a great rest of the day.
We will, thank you.
We'll get in touch with you about being here for the next
Absolutely,
meeting.
thank you. Okay.
Your check's in the mail.
Make sure it's under $100.
Yeah, $100.
All right, Katina, are you coming in or?
Our check
She's
is
invited.
blank. Non-negotiable.
I don't know. I've got Trille being next. Present her fourth quarter and excess fees.
Hey, while we're sitting here waiting, those tables, what do we want to do with those tables?
Good tables.
We don't have a use for them. They've sat there since
They were
somebody
donated for the
Can we ask,
tornado.
can we ask Dwayne if he could use them, or
Yeah.
Brian if he could use them?
Hello.
Hey,
How's everybody this morning?
good. Right, how are you?
Good. Doing good. Okay, I am here to present our final fourth quarter report and some excess fees, and you all should have gotten a copy in your packet, I believe. Okay. So you can see from, we have added $2.90 for interest, so it's just a little bit different than what you have in your packet. So I'm going to present a check for $352,845.08 for excess fees for 2021.
All right.
Yay!
Excellent.
I'll endorse it for you.
You bet. You bet.
We'll celebrate Louisville. And I need to sign that.
At some point, yeah.
We'll bring it, sign it, bring it back down.
Yeah, that's fine. You'll do it right
And
now.
so we don't need to vote, we just acknowledge receipt and
Receipt of
compliance,
excess fees.
and it for this is great.
It was a pretty good year.
It was a pretty good year.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
This has nothing, this will not change with that 40% increase in valuations. That valuations took effect this year, or how does that work?
It will be for 2022. I think the refunds will be going out later this year.
Okay.
So it shouldn't change
but that's-
drastically.
Okay.
You know, the money's going to be refunded from Frankfurt, from the revenue cabinet. So
Okay. Yeah.
we don't know exactly how that's going to work just yet. We
Yeah.
haven't been given the instructions on, you know, if we're going to have to provide a list of monies that was collected, or if they're going to do it internally
Mhm.
and then just refund from the revenue cabinet. We haven't really been told the instructions
Okay.
yet. So.
Well, I'm glad to see that they're actually, that was one of the
Oh, yeah.
bunch of fixes, and,
Yeah.
and I know, you know, this court was proactive about it too.
It was
and so-
great, yes.
So yeah, I'm glad that's getting worked out. And
Yeah, me too.
I'm glad it's actually happening. It sounds like it's happening in Frankfurt instead of y'all having to do it, right?
That's what we're hearing right now. We
Okay.
have a meeting Thursday, and hopefully they'll provide a few more details on how that's all going to transpire.
Perfect. All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you, have a good day.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Janice?
Are you ready? I guess.
Is Janice out there?
This is not out there.
I'll text Joanne if you want some tables.
Every picture I take those tables, right?
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Aggie.
I mean, that's hard to follow that act with Trille. I'm afraid I'm not gonna be able to follow that like that. Sorry. I'm not gonna be able to follow that.
Come on.
I know, I wish I could, but, sorry, I can't do that. But I am here also to present our fourth quarter report for 2021 and have it, to be recognized by the fiscal court. And I'm also here to present a check for excess fees for the sheriff's office for $20,014.60.
We'll take it.
Now, this check has been, is a pretty good sized check from what we've turned over in the past, so we are
It's one of
happy
the
to
largest.
get. Yeah, one of the largest checks we've turned over in a while, so, yeah. So I'm here to present that to who I do.
Over here.
to.
We'll accept any checks.
Thank you, Janice.
Yeah, no problem.
And considering what our sheriff's department does for this community, it's not always about the dollar. It's
No.
about the service.
Yes,
So
sir. And so
don't-
we were glad to be able to do that. That maybe will offset some expenses for our fuel, because prices are a little
Going up
crazy.
daily or
Yeah,
hourly?
so we're
We've
glad to
done
do that, and, I'm here for
Okay,
some signatures.
we'll sign that and bring it back
Yeah.
down to you in just a
Anybody's
little
got any
bit.
questions about that?
How's the sheriff doing?
He went to PT, appointment yesterday, and I think he's supposed to know something maybe about his, coming back maybe soon. So I think he's getting better every day.
Good.
So, yeah.
More importantly, how's his wife taking him?
You know,
She's putting up with Mocha.
yeah, I think so. I haven't heard any bad news, so
Yeah.
all news is good news, right?
He's not sleeping in the doghouse, is he?
No, I don't think so. I think he had puppies though. His dog had puppies, so maybe he's puppy
Also, with
One-handed.
is this kind of a vacation for the staff?
Well, we miss him.
Well, they got to deal with Chris.
Be sure the minutes reflect that.
Yeah, we miss him. So if anybody's got any questions about anything?
No, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jan.
Yeah, you're welcome.
If you see Steve out there, send him in.
All right, this is gonna be a quick meeting today.
We're
huh?
Yeah, we hope.
Y'all have a good day, thank
So
you.
far, so good.
Thank you.
They good.
I know, I leave them alone for one meeting and go till 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
Good morning.
You want to tell me?
Morning.
Good morning.
I got too much to do here, really.
Right.
All right, Steve, welcome. Good morning.
Thank you. I'll try to be quick. I know you are busy people today. As you may or may not know, we currently have a leave donation program in the county for our employees. I'm not sure when it was established, but it allows for an employee to donate vacation to someone else who may need it to take off for personal medical reasons and they don't have any leave time available themselves. I'm recommending that we expand the program Because this one really doesn't fit a lot of our employees' needs, but I want to expand the program to include all earned paid time be allowed to be donated, vacation, sick, and comp time, instead of just vacation.
I'll make that motion.
Yes.
I'll second it.
So we have, don't click on the draw now. I think the motion was by Magistrate Cullen, second Magistrate Short.
He's the second.
To accept, the motion is to, for donation policy to include all earned time in that consideration. Is that correct?
The additional part is that it extends beyond just the employee. We allowed it to go, we recommend we allow it to include employees' families. Looking at survey information, most of the people I've surveyed allow that. So we're just getting in line more before people that respond to surveys. So that's the only additional part.
Motion stands.
Yeah.
Good idea.
I'm not sure I understand that. We had a situation years ago where collectively, of course, we were 2,200 employees, but we had a gentleman who was out for 5 months because his wife was passing away excruciatingly with cancer. So he was out to help take care of her. But you're not saying, I don't quite understand the family the way you were saying.
Well, something like that could happen. Again, as an employer, we have a right to go back in there and say, look, we need some more justification or documentation or any other way to handle this. We need you in your job. You know, so those are things that can happen.
And of course, that required a lot of coverage and everything else.
Absolutely.
Because, this was a division director, so.
Yes.
Well, we have a situation right now with an employee, I think that's what.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, that's what brought this about,
Yeah.
as far as
I hope that'll.
currency.
You know,
Yes.
is that gonna affect immediately, Judge?
I would entertain an amendment to the motion that it be retroactive to February 1.
I'll make that motion to make.
Let's vote, let's do this. Let's vote on the motion as presented and seconded,
Oh, can I ask one?
and then we'll consider amendments to the motion separately.
Are we in question, can I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead.
How much comp time can one person give somebody?
As much as they want.
Okay, so there's some places you work is just limited. You're only limited, like, you can only get 2 vacation days.
Okay.
Or 2 comp days.
We have put no limit on how many I can donate to someone. The survey information I got back, none of them ever mentioned a limit. There could be, but, and again, all of them didn't respond to me. But the ones I got that said they allow it, they didn't put a limit on it.
Now, there might be a limit on what you can earn, but not what you.
No, it's through the school system.
What you carry forward year to year to year.
Yeah, it's through the school system. They're only allowed to give no more than 2 days.
Okay.
So.
It's pretty tight.
Yeah. Steve?
Yes.
Would you anticipate?
That's one person. I'm talking about one person on that. I mean, more people could give, but.
In this collective of people talk and help each other, would you anticipate word of mouth will get out, or will you formalize anything to say John Doe is in need? Would anybody?
What we've done, what we did in this case where it didn't fit really, was I sent out a all-point bulletin to people, let them know that someone needs assistance, and if you're willing to donate, contact Shannon. And
wonderful.
That's the best way to handle it. There was no names mentioned, and nor should there ever be.
Well, that's great people will do that.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, you never know when you're gonna get sick and.
Well, you don't have any time. You just don't, you've already used your time up taking care of the person, and so.
This is a nice benefit to our package of
I think it is.
benefits,
I think it is.
Yeah, it is.
which we've talked about improving forward.
Right. Let's vote on the motion as presented. It's clear that this is just, we're talking about the broader definition of donatable time to an employee that asks and has a need. So, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries. Now we will amend that, we will add to that motion a timing of when it becomes effective.
Well, I'll make that motion.
February 1st.
February the 1st. That this action become effective February 1st.
Right.
And made by
Second.
Magistrate Simmons, seconded by Magistrate Gay. Discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries. Thank you.
One other piece of business, I've been asked to mention, that we're beginning a search to replace Lance Cotton from solid waste and recycling. And we're beginning the search right now. So just to let you know that.
All right, thank you.
Okay? Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Steve. If you see Brian out there, send him in.
Brian is here.
Morning.
Good morning, everyone. I'll be pretty brief. I didn't have a check to bring. Seemed like in this bag.
You're still new. We'll allow it.
A couple things. Give you an update on the Persimmon knob generator, and if any of you know what had originally happened up there, someone took it upon themselves to break through the chain link fence and unhook the LP tanks, tried to steal those. We got those pulled back over, got them hooked back up. Myself and Deputy Sam Butler and Director Rogers helped out some too on that. We got those hooked back up, replaced a battery on that generator, and we got the generator where it runs great now. We did have an issue inside, which we thought initially was a transfer switch. When the utility load went down, the generator would kick on, but when the utility load came back up, it wouldn't cut off. So we've got that issue straightened out. FCC application for our radios, that's done every 10 years. The last time that was done was 2012, and subsequently after that, in 2013, the FCC changed to where entities could not, they didn't want entities operating on a wide bandwidth, which we weren't anyway. So when we redid the application last week, we submitted it and we basically withdrew from the wideband operations. So we're good to go there for another 10 years. We had some questions last week about the tornado sirens. The schedule going forward for the sirens will be the first Friday of the month at 12 o'clock like it generally was. We did the one last week because we had a national tornado drill at 10:07. That's why that was. All 18 sirens are up and operational. That is a plus. We actually had an issue back in January with our newest siren of the 18, but we've got that fixed. Other than that, as Rusty spoke a couple weeks ago, it seems like building's up. I've got 76 new addresses ready to assign and a couple address changes. So it looks like there's going to be a lot of building going on. So.
How'd we do flooding recently?
We did pretty well. We had a couple issues yesterday on the western end of the county. Mitchellburg Road at the end of Harbison Lane, where Harbison Lane comes out on Mitchellburg Road. We were out there for a couple, 2.5, 3 hours yesterday. Water was actually over both lanes of traffic there. Clogged tile that runs under the road back toward the Chaplain there. And the state road department was coming out today we got it unclogged, but they're coming out today to bring it back home and get that cleaned out better. And issue out on 68 West down by Poodle Reynolds there. Just so much runoff there that it generally, when we get the amount of rain we had yesterday,
that's a perennial problem.
It gets over the road there. Yeah, it is. And I've talked to Tom earlier in the week.
Let me interrupt you right there. I had not yet gotten to my computer or phone to get a hold of Brian, and he was already getting a hold of me, and I'm grateful for that, because we had several issues in western Boyle County. Thank you very much.
Other than that, that's about all I have.
Anybody else got any questions?
Well, we had an incident over Persimmon Knob where somebody had put an RV placed on the right side going on after you get past Catholic Knob, and what happened, it stopped that, the ditch down through there. And while the water running across the road, so we had a few cars almost hydroplaned there because the water was so high. And So, but we got that addressed, so.
Yeah, we still have, I mean, countywide, we've got several places that need some attention. But thus far, I've always had a real good working relationship through the years with Willie Lester, the foreman out at the State Highway Garage. They're real prompt about getting out.
Well, there's a lot of ditches that needs to be cleaned out.
Right.
And especially going down that, on the other side of that knob, they just cleaned some of the ditches out. The water would, but they're all stopped up.
Right.
So, yeah.
All right, anybody else?
You mentioned the sirens.
I can't hear them in my house.
Well, is it time to have a conversation on the usefulness of them and the expense that goes along with them? Because I don't know if many people in the county actually really pay attention to those sirens, because they go off at such random different times. People don't really know. They just kind of ignore them. I mean, I hate to not have them if we ever needed them, but we do spend a good amount of money on them. So I don't know.
Well, most of the money that's been spent has been grant money that has been spent, and it's still taxpayer dollars, they're still spent.
Yeah.
To keep the new ones, the old ones replaced and with new ones and stuff like that. I can't envision there being a significant event, and I love Code Red, but I can't imagine not hearing a siren and testing them for efficiency.
Code Red doesn't usually work for me unless I'm not at my residence.
Yeah.
I found that like if I'm not at my residence,
I know that you
sets off sirens.
You get Code Red on your phone.
Yeah. And we've actually, and I talked to Julie about this, we've actually courted the idea. I was contacted a couple weeks ago. It was a group called TextMyGov. Basically along the same premise of a Code Red alert system, but it looks to be way more advanced and more integrated from the standpoint, and it's just an idea going forward, from the standpoint of, if Magistrate short, if someone has an issue in your district, they say, well, there's a large 2-foot pothole on, such and such street, and you can actually upload to that, and it'll go directly to the correct entity that's involved in fixing that. If it goes to Junction City Public Works, or if it goes to the State Department, or the State Road Department. So, yeah. Just an idea going forward to maybe check into that also.
Yeah.
And they do weather alerts.
What's your alternative suggestion to sirens?
Well, I don't know, but Bill had just mentioned that we actually have an alert system on the website as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, honestly, if there was something out there along the lines of like how they do the Amber Alerts, where it's a blast on phones, because everyone's got their phones and they're paying attention to their phones. I mean, that would be kind of the way to go, is if there was and that's kind of what I thought you were going to say about it.
That's basically what the
TextMyGov.
TextMyGov is basically almost like kind of a newer updated version of the Code Red system.
Okay. I mean, I would. I think that's gonna be more informative. So
I like it Code Red though right now. I mean, that's the best money we ever spent.
It is. Do you want to get some stuff together and make a presentation on TextMyGov to the court?
I can, and actually the rep that I spoke with a couple times, she would give you all. It takes like 20 minutes for her to give you the demonstration on a webinar. They're actually based out of Utah, but
what's the expense on it?
Initially, it's $11,000 for the initial setup. That's for the first year. Then the subsequent years after is right around $7,000.
We're paying what, 11 now for this Code Red?
I think close to that.
So maybe we can get some grants for that too.
Right, and I think, me being on the outside coming into this, I think this system is just way and above, far better than the Code Red system.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it has.
I'd like to see a presentation of it.
It ain't gonna hurt.
It's a free 20-minute webinar.
Over time, there's been discussion around the table that Code Red wasn't as used by the public as much as we thought it should be used. And I don't know how many people get that, but Phil, does that sound familiar that we've talked about?
Oh, yeah.
And maybe something, an enhancement would create a greater demand.
And that's, I think, of course, with any app on your phone, that they're constantly evolving. And I'll be honest, it's actually been kind of hard for me to even contact the co-red folks. From my standpoint, getting a hold of those, that's for administrative stuff. But this new system seems to be
more aggressive.
They're way more impressive, more aggressive. It seems like they've really got their stuff together.
Yeah, I agree with what Magistrate Cullen is saying about the Amber Alert system, whatever system that is. I mean, I don't know that I've ever subscribed or signed up for anything that allows me to get Amber Alerts, but I get them, and so somehow they push those to me.
That's a cell-based, area-based alert. It's a mass alert.
I think it's pushed out I think it's actually pushed out by the carrier.
Right. It is.
But all of them's got it on.
But anyway, that's, you're gonna find that something like that's way more effective than the Sirens.
Well, yes and no. I do think the Sirens do have value, that's for sure, because it's an important notification. So one thing on the Sirens going off a lot is I do think that anymore, because we issue warnings and things so much more satellite-based, it seems like growing up anyway, tornado warnings were also, oftentimes in those days issued by visual sightings, which, wasn't necessarily a good thing as far as warnings. But I think with the satellite-based warnings, we do get a lot more warnings than we ever used to, and it does become kind of I worry about the crying wolf syndrome, and, it's like, okay, here we go, it's another tornado warning, and so that, I don't know if there's a good answer to that, but that does become a problem.
Well, my concern on totally eliminating the Sirens.
I'm not saying eliminate them. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying, but what I'm saying is, how much more effective would those be if you had like a notice that went along with it that says, "Hey," kind of like what
this is a test.
What we've done on Facebook before, but you don't get that push to everybody on Facebook, and so you might find it 2 hours later or whatever. But hey, we're sending out a notice, or it works in conjunction with the Sirens. I think the Sirens are just kind of
I think that's good.
Background noise in some ways.
The part, I'm ready to go down the path of not having any Sirens, because with cell phone texting or alerts, golden alerts or amber alerts or whatever they may be, what's it gonna do when your phone is off? Or on mute, or not on vibrate. Right?
At least you'll still get the prompt like a text, it'll
yeah,
pop
but
up
you
on
won't
your
know
screen.
it right then. But you could be somewhere where you hear the siren going off. And
true.
And then you could look.
Yeah, but like the Sirens, I've kind of like, in my mind, it's kind of like, when you're walking through a parking lot and somebody's car alarm's going off, you just kind of ignore it. Before it used to get your attention, but now it's kind of, you're like, oh, somebody's car's just, their alarm's going off or whatever. I don't know. But I think if in working with Tandem, a lot of people just don't know why it's going off, and then they find out that it was
I think that would be a great enhancement to have them
coincide.
Yeah,
and I think that that's one reason why we've always tried to do those at 12 o'clock on the first Friday, because I think people got used to when they first heard, when they seen it was 12 o'clock. Well, we don't need to duck and run here, but the ice storm, of course, a month ago, that delayed us by a week, and then we had the national tornado drill 12 days later.
Yeah.
That kind of, and I get what you're saying, that kind of, and what Jamey's saying.
Yeah, with what Ronnie's saying though, that is concerning, is what areas are gap areas as far as our Sirens?
Sirens, there is some gap areas. There's actually a siren that's not operational now, and everything that I've got thus far on it is that there's not going to be anything going forward with it up by LSC, the Donnelly building, which I personally would like to see that siren working again, because you know, have the LSC, the Donnelly building, American Greetings, Hobart. There's a lot of people with engineering. Yeah.
Oh.
So, a couple other areas I've kind of identified, like the Hughes Lane area out that way. You know, you have one at the Boyle County High School, the newest one. But once you get a little further west, you still got a pretty good population of people out there that could possibly need one. The good thing about them is that they don't cost a whole lot of money to maintain them once we get them up. And Brian Jones from Keystone Industrial, they do all that for us. So.
If you notice the sirens, you know, however they're pointing, that's where you're gonna get the biggest part of the sound. Everything behind you don't get it.
Yeah.
We used to have a siren down the church right down past where I live, and that's where we got our. But it doesn't work anymore.
Right.
But evidently the church or whatever had that put in years ago. And that's what we always got. But I cannot hear the sirens in Junction City at all.
Now the rotating ones now are.
Yeah. I was gonna say that kind of is where.
Yeah, you're gonna hear them.
Richmond. Yeah. That's where we need to kind of look. But, okay, cool. Well, let's move right along.
All right.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it. Have a good day.
Keep good work.
See Mike out there, send him in.
He's right here, he's coming.
All right.
I guess that new one in Junction, don't it, rotate?
Yeah, it does. They're all smoking. All right, morning.
Morning, Judge.
Morning.
Morning, Fiscal Court. First thing on the agenda today is to consider a full-time hire of Billy Holder. Billy was full-time, and sometime last year his wife's job changed due to COVID, and he had to go to part-time status. So he's going back to the full-time status. That would be effective immediately. One question I did have is, I don't know if he would have to go through that probationary period again. Probably should ask Steve that. But
He's been part-time?
yeah, he was full-time, then went to part-time, and go back to full-time. So
How long was he full-time?
Well, he worked at the jail for an amount of time. I'm not sure what that amount of time was, but before he came to us, he transferred to us, and then he was with us for.
Let's clarify that with Steve.
I'll make a motion, we go ahead and approve that with clarification from Steve.
Yeah.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Magistrate Cullen and seconded by Magistrate Simmons to hire Billy Holder full-time, starting today. And any other discussions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. The next thing is to give you an update on the computer purchase that we talked about in the last fiscal court meeting. Magistrate Cullen suggested we try the iPads, and we actually had one. Bill had one we could try, so I think it's going to work for us. We still have to do some more testing as far as right now we have 4 hotspots that we use that are in each ambulance. The cardiac monitor uses that device to communicate with the hospital. So we need to do some testing with that to make sure that the iPad will take place of that hotspot. I think it will. I just got to get with Bill and get that tested. Otherwise, we ordered a case. The case like you guys have, it wouldn't survive in an ambulance, so we ordered a little more of a rugged case. So.
Do you have it to show?
No, I haven't. We just did it yesterday.
Okay.
Bill just did it yesterday. So once we get that in, we do that testing, we should be able to hopefully transition to using those iPads, and it'll actually save us a lot of money, quite a bit of money. So just wanted to give you an update on that.
I appreciate you being open to suggestions like you are, and always. We talked earlier about how you are a good steward with the taxpayer dollars, and we appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. I did want to give a quick update on the House Bill 777. Just to get everybody caught up, there's been 3 House bills that were passed that has to do with EMS. 296 was the first one, which was really bad. It got repealed. The second one was 505. It also got repealed, and now they're doing the House Bill 777. It actually passed in the House yesterday. I appreciate Representative Elliott. He actually voted no on that. So bill is the best of the three. My concerns are it doesn't fix the problem that's at hand, and that's the provider shortage. The county judge from Jackson County pointed out that there's 4,000 EMTs, or there's 4,000 paramedics in the state. Only 30% of those work on ambulances.
I talked to Shelley and Daniel, I bet you comment after that. And both of them said that they felt like it, they just need to back off and study this more instead of jumping into it and voting for us quick.
Yeah.
So evidently it didn't happen though, did it?
Yeah, I mean, there was 15 no's and the rest were
85-15.
Yeah. So, yeah, it doesn't fix the provider shortage, and that's what we're seeing. Obviously, we have one paramedic position open, and we don't have applications. We don't have any. I mean, we're advertising on Indeed, and the paramedics that we get, we've been able to go out and recruit from other services. So.
Tell them how long it's been since you had an application.
Yeah.
You shared this morning with us.
Yeah, it's back in July when we hired the 7 people to go to the 12-hour shift, the paramedics that we got then, we recruited. So we haven't got a paramedic application, it's been a long time. It's been last fall, probably last summer, or probably before that, honestly. It's just been a long time. That viable. Now, we've had a couple of applications, but it's one of those scenarios where they've got 3 other jobs and they're wanting to work here part-time, and we don't have a lot of time. So, but yeah, the paramedic shortage is as bad as it's ever been, and this bill doesn't fix that. So that's kind of my issue with it.
Let me loop back to 777 for a moment. With the judge's encouragement, after watching a week ago Sunday, the Kentucky newsmakers, I will just say it the way that my old CEO at Blue Cross used to say, the panel that was on that program did not let the truth stand in the way of a good story. There were assertions that statewide, and this was from a clinical social worker, that statewide they get calls from our professionals, not in Boyle County, but she just made a blanket statement that when they call for a mental health case, quote, "We don't carry crazy people." That was outrageous. It should have been intercepted by Bill Bryant. He's a very good commentator. I wrote up several things, wrote to him that day, and he called me late at night one night and asked that we get a panel together to come and countermand some of the things they said. The president of the Kentucky Hospital Association said in the same sentence, she talked about the fact that people dying of heart attacks were not being picked up properly, and that they had had cases of people dying. She didn't say when, and at the same time she talked about, on the heels of the social worker, saying, you know, there are times it's 7 or 8 hours before you get somebody back to the hospital or back to their home after dialysis or after a knee surgery. That is comfort care in a way.
It could be one county that's messing it up.
But no, KHA asserted in the context of 7 to 8 hours, people are dying. Has that ever, in your knowledge, and you know the guy in Jessamine because you mentored him, has that ever happened to your knowledge? I mean, that was so outrageous that Bill Bryant was apologizing on the phone for not intercepting those 2 points, and there are others. And then you get inside the bill, and jokingly, when I was talking to his program director for getting together, and Dr. Grant's going with me tomorrow, or Thursday, for the taping, there's the word territory in the bill, and it basically says that any tertiary facility, high-level care facility, can designate a territory. Well, the territory could be if a hospital's on the edge of Indiana on the high water mark, we own the far shore. It could be anything contiguous all throughout Kentucky, that our rural hospitals could be subjected to interception of patients by the Hospital Association. And folks, this is a bad piece of legislation. It will get worse when the high-paid lobbyists for the Kentucky Hospital Association take it from passage, heaven forbid, to the regulations. Because when the regulations are written in Frankfurt, things change dramatically. And they're not happy that they lost 296, they're not happy that they lost 505, and so this will be amended in the regulatory process if we can't stop it.
So it doesn't, the CON language also is confusing about it too. And the CON is what's called the certificate of need. And the bill will do away with all non-emergency CONs, which is fine, because nobody's arguing over the non-emergency transports. But we want to make sure that the CON for Boyle County stays in the hands of the fiscal court. So the language is confusing. It needs to be spelled out a little bit better. And I'm told from Shelley that they've got KLC is going to work with them to do that in the Senate. So hopefully that gets done. But there's other issues. But I appreciate, you know, the fiscal court being so active and the judge's leadership on this, because this will affect EMS, and the work is not done. I mean, this is just starting. If this bill was to pass, we're still going to have a lot of work to do. We still need to advocate for EMS throughout the state, because we need more providers, and I'm afraid that we're going to follow some of the other states like Mississippi to where their healthcare, as far as EMS goes, is collapsing.
What can be done? I mean, you mentioned this legislation doesn't help the shortage. What could be done legislatively to help the shortage?
The committee chair of the Health and Welfare Committee, Moser, she was open to the idea of maybe using state dollars to help supplement training for recruitment and retention. I think that probably should have been done first before we open this can of worms.
But it's not in the budget.
But
bill.
it's not in
the budget bill.
So now the nursing industry, the nursing shortage has been addressed through an executive order through the governor. And there's all kinds of things that they're doing that's good to help that. But again, EMS is being overlooked. And then, but it goes back to that 30% of paramedics are working on ground ambulances. Guess where the rest are? Hospitals and in air ambulance services.
And when we look at our budget and the hospitals start coming looking for more people, guess what's going to happen to our budget to hold on to the fine professionals that we have? This is not good legislation.
We're still fighting it, Mike.
Yes, sir.
So, I think we need to focus on the Senate side right now, since it's passed the House the way it did. And if we can make some effective headway with the Senate with regard to some of these arguments that you and Dr. Grant are going to present on Thursday, I believe that it will go to conference committee and be hopefully adjudicated to some degree and improved there back and forth. So.
Yeah, if they're able to, you know, put something in there about the provider shortage, then, you know, I'd be a lot more willing to support it. But if we're gonna, you know, if we're gonna try to fix the problem, let's try to fix the problem. We're not worried about all these others first. So.
Thank you, Mike, for your leadership.
Thank you, Mike, for your focused leadership on this. Appreciate it. All right, next, it's Julie Wagner.
Yeah.
Yay.
Judge, you want to help me with this first one? We're going to talk about ARPA and a fire station, potential new fire station.
Yeah, I, in discussions with Chief Sexton over the years, Boyle County Fire and Rescue has about 2-acre piece of property on the right going into North Point Training Facility that they own. And I don't know exactly when they acquired this, some time ago. And Chief Sexton showed me on his map of the county all the radiuses, 5-mile radiuses throughout the county that are covered. Well, the part of the District 4 in the north is uncovered by a fire protection district. This, if we were to consider utilizing $200,000 of ARPA funds, which would be legal and go through the same vetting process, as my recommendation, through Compass and with the Stites and Harbison and all that, and go through the same process, in discussions, if we were to contribute $200,000 to putting a fire station, which would house up to 2 vehicles there at North Point to service the north end of the county, it would reduce, and that many of you were at the last Pulse of the People we had out at American Legion in that district, it would reduce the tax liability to all homeowners in that affected area from a 9 zone to a 5 zone, which is a significant saving on their insurance obligations. I think it's really worthwhile to cover an area of the county that has yet to date been serviced by a fire protection district for quick response, and the added benefit of reduction in insurance provision would be a tremendous benefit to the inhabitants of that area. This is something I think I would like to present to the court as a consideration, and in your tablets, there is a description of what the building would look like, where it would be, a request for proposal or bids to move forward. There's lots of information there, and I just wanted to throw it out and see what you thought, what your thinking is.
Maybe a little biased, but I think it's a great idea. It's something that I've had several people in that part of the county asking for since I was elected, and I appreciate you thinking about that part of the area. You hadn't even discussed this with me before.
No, I really haven't.
Before it was brought up, so it was a nice surprise, to say the least, but
I should have, but
very much needed, especially with some of the planned building that will probably end up out in that part of the county as well. So.
200,000 take care of it, or the fire department?
The fire department, to Chief Sexton's credit, said we need some skin in the process ourselves.
Yeah.
And so the Boyle County Fire Protection District would make up any difference required to complete the project. This is all he's asking for now. If the court wanted to go 2.25 or 250, that would be good. But 200 is what we have discussed going in.
No, I was just going to say, if that motion had been made, I would make the motion that we proceed with the use of ARPA funds not to exceed $200,000 for this project.
Is it okay? There's a motion, and it's made by Magistrate and seconded by Magistrate. Now we can discuss it.
Does he have a bid or?
No, not yet.
Doesn't have any.
Not yet. No, he has an idea and a concept, and an estimated.
How much ARPA money do we have left after that?
1.7 million.
Well, yeah, 1.7 million.
1.7, I think, around.
It's not potentially programmed against other projects.
Right.
It's a pretty sobering thing that homes and businesses don't have coverage within that 5 mile
It is.
radius
In this day and time.
Well, it's especially important when you think about the train situation that we have out that way, where, depending on how they would respond, they could, if they're coming from a certain way, get stopped by those trains that sit there on Faulkner Station or whatever. This will give them much quicker access to the area.
I just, if you've been out there and you know that area, northern part of the county up in the front there, it is not covered by a fire district. I just thought that's one area. There's one, and this is important to note. Chief Sexton said once that building, and it's a concrete pad, metal building, and meeting room, offices, and 2 trucks, and a place for gear and stuff like that. Okay, it's simple but effective. The day that building is complete, he can go fully operational the same day. He has the resources, forecast, and programs for that building should we decide to have.
He has enough vehicles to supply
Yes,
it
sir.
to?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
I think it's a good idea. I know some people.
Yes, sir.
that do.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, and no reflection upon this question I want to ask, but how many families live out there? Would you guess how many people can we help out? Would you guess?
I'd say about 200.
That's what I was gonna come up with,
Around
was about 200 roughly. Two homes, 200 homes.
200 homes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This will stretch down into Mox Creek, it'll stretch into Hunt Farms.
Right, there's a lot of folks.
Oh, yeah, 5 miles from there is a pretty good.
That's pretty good radius.
Yeah, you got
Gwynn Island Road.
Mouse Creek, you got a subdivision on the other side. Plus you got Gwynn Island.
Well, you know, and Gwynn Islands is getting ready to expand with
Right.
their low-pressure sewer system that Lake Village is gonna be putting in, as we just saw the grant that we participated in a couple, 3 weeks ago. Well, if they go all the way out the island, which is my understanding that they will, that will potentially generate an economic development environment out there that we're not seeing right now.
That's where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
It could really help out.
It could really help
In
out.
the development of that area.
Redoing the water too.
I'm not sure about that. I know that the low-pressure sewer system that they are.
Yeah, okay.
So,
Call for the question.
okay, question has been called. All those in favor of starting the process of validating, approving an appropriation or pass-through on ARPA funds of $200,000 for a fire station at North Point on Fire County owned property, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, and that motion carries. So we will get Chief Sexton and R.J. Palmer and these guys together to start working those T crossings and I dotting processes.
Sounds great. Thank you guys very much.
Okay? Next, Miss Julie.
All right, let's talk about parking. I think some of you have had some calls. So just to set this up a little bit, when I started here, there really was an old map that they were working off of, and there were spots everywhere that were empty and not used or weren't really sure. So we walked the lot and we decided it would make more sense to cluster all the visitor parking closest to the visitor entrance, so they wouldn't have to walk as far. So that was sort of the premise for how we started this. Then I visited with each department at least twice, told them what I was thinking of, showed them what I was thinking, had no pushback from anybody on this. We walked the parking lot with Dwayne, he liked it. At that time, Dwayne said we could not number the spots for security, so we didn't. And I stood out in the rain the morning that it went into effect and helped everybody get to their new spots. But some things happened after that. Some people didn't like the spot that they were given. Well, we did not assign individual spots. We gave a cluster of parking to the department heads. They assigned their people in the spots for their department. The second thing is we have seen, I think, an uptick in visitors at the courthouse because COVID has kind of lightened up. We also had a big trial here at the courthouse. On one day, we had 2 groups of 50 people coming in for jury duty. That was a big parking day here. And people couldn't figure out where they were supposed to park because of the lack of signage. So we worked with Dwayne. We poured Derek, the day he was in pre-op, I'm on the phone with Derek, getting permission to number the spots. Because at the time it was said that it was a security concern that we marked the spots.
I don't understand that.
So Derek said, I think you
Don't
should number them. Called Dwayne, he started numbering them, and it's taken about, I don't know, Judge, 2-3 weeks to get them numbered. The green dots on your map reflect a signage that says employee parking. It's color-coded by department. I think you can kind of figure that out. Why did we do this? We have 12 extra public parking spots that we didn't have before. Before we had 9 public parking spots. We now have 21. They are all clustered at one end of the parking lot so the public can get in and out. And I just don't understand why everybody's unhappy.
Yeah, the one and it's growing on me, and I think it will on a lot of people. I think, obviously change throws people out, but I think that one of the things that, and I don't know how some of it will just take some time for people to get used to, but I don't know if there's a better way to sign the fact that the 90 or 86 through 92 or 97 over there are also is visitor parking. Because I think that if you could have a sign at the main entrance that says additional visitor parking.
We've ordered those. We've ordered.
Okay, good, because that's the one thing I think people get in there and then they get frustrated because it looks like everything is just an employee parking spot if those first ones are filled up, and then they don't know where they're supposed to go, and that I think will help.
Just so you know, we're looking at a wide white bar on the road that draws a line across here where visitors this way and employee this way, but there also be what I think are referred to as like wayfarer signs that say visitor parking in this lot, visitor parking in these areas, and be able to illustrate exactly where those are.
Yeah, I agree.
I liked how you guys put
signs
visitor on the actual pavement too. Right here. And so I think if that carries over into the new lot, that will
help eliminate.
That'll help, and I think as people adjust and realize, because I think right now a lot of people think that little lot over there is also employee parking.
Yeah. They do.
It used to be so.
And it used to be, and I think they think that, and they're like, okay, good gosh, where am I supposed to go?
I don't have any spots ain't left. They got more. They have more.
My only question is, I know there are some extra spots for future growth.
There's 6 extra spots in white, if you look over on over here, that can be used for contractors coming in, auditors, additional employees.
Magistrates.
Yeah,
and that's where I was going to suggest as well, is that we use those spots where we, not have them designated.
No,
just that we should try to park there on a temporary basis when we're here, and that'll keep the visitor spots free as well.
Yeah, okay.
I'm sorry everybody didn't get the spot they wanted. I really am, but I mean, we were wasting so much parking here that
to put this in perspective, this building's been here for a very long time. We've not been able to make many changes to it. Well, Danville, when they built their new city hall, how many parking spots do they have for the public? They have 9. 9 spots for the public. People go in there to do planning and zoning, building permits, pay your water bills, go speak to the police officers, go speak to the city. 9 spots. They rely on the spots out front that are also on street parking. And so here we have 21 spots. And so
I think
I'm sorry people don't like change, but it was done in an effective way, and it was the right thing to do. And I appreciate you going through this, and I'm sorry if people kind of came back.
It's been brutal. It's been brutal.
Yeah. But I will tell you, as we explain it to public, I mean, people that come in and say, ooh, parking's terrible, they're being encouraged to call and complain. So once we explain it to them, I don't think we've had one person turn around and say, I still hate it. Once they understand what we've done and we explain it to people, I feel like everybody's been okay with it.
I think the bar and I think the signage will go on, and then just people getting used to it.
Nobody really likes coming here to do business in the first place, and so any little things.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, John.
I think the people talk much about the cars coming in off of 4th Street. They're coming in pretty quick to get out of the flow of the traffic.
Yeah.
And that's the crosswalk area for those visitors who are coming. And older people may have who move a little slower, have an issue with that. So I think I don't know if any signage or anything painted on the blacktop to help slow that entrance down just a little bit. And Judge, on the security, I'm one who talked about people not parking in the same place for security reasons. And we used to, and I don't know if we still do or not, but the security would go over to a judge's car
and escort them in.
And escort them in. I don't know. They still do. So if that's for security, then parking in the same place is questionable for security also.
Magistrate Kaywood, that's exactly why I parked all the elected officials up against the building, because we could flip them very easily from time to time.
And again, with clarification, those aren't the elected officials.
Without messing with them, no. But I thought if I had to move for security, I could just move that one row against the building and that wouldn't be as disruptive as.
I think the judges in the decisions and the work that they do
Yes.
sometimes place themselves in a tough security situation.
I think the biggest problem is the fact that, and I don't know whether we can do anything about it or not, but I don't think that this should be a throughway street. I mean, that's what they're worried about, these old people. That's only cause I've had a couple, and I took it with a grain of salt. Going in, you know, coming off Third Street coming this way.
Cutting through the parking lot.
Fourth Street going over to Third.
It'd be worse if you didn't have it that way.
Because
you'd have people trying to turn around and get back out, you'd have a traffic jam.
I don't think I'd cut through there just to avoid going to the street.
Well, why did they do it?
I don't know, because we got speed bumps, and we've got that drainage ditch there, and the drainage culvert in the middle there.
Yeah. I don't know why they do it either, but you go out there and watch it.
I'm with Ronnie though, I understand your issue, but when somebody comes in from here to even find a place to turn around in here would slow other traffic, and they can just go right out that way, and it happens every day. Now, through traffic where, gee, I've got to get to an appointment, I have nothing to do with the court, that would be different.
You can't stop that though.
Yeah, I know you can't stop it, but I don't see that much of it when I'm here.
That's why we put a gate up at our church. We open the gate, and guess what? It's a drive-through.
Yeah.
People go from Third to Fourth.
Yeah, why?
But it just quick, people in a hurry.
Cut off 2 blocks.
When I used to come here all the time, you know, had to come to court, to my license, whatever. Most of the time, I didn't know where to park. All I figured you had to park at just a few little places right there in front. All this over here was always designated for, because I knew Farmers Bank used it, they paid, you know, for their employees to park there. There was no place to park over there. At least I didn't know. And I think the way you did it now, and it's marked, you know, for visitors, whatever, it gives people more options to park.
And numbering the spots let people know that those are, I mean, that's one of the biggest complaints I think that we've heard from the staff is that they'll go out for lunch and they'll come back and somebody's in their spot. Well, now that the number's there, you know, people kind of know, and the others are marked visitor. Hopefully, when they're gone, they come back and their spot's still open.
I better eliminate that. I think it will.
Well, John, I don't know if this is where you were talking about, John, but on 4th Street, and we witnessed this when Lieutenant Governor was here, and we kind of talked about it a little bit. There has to be a way for the state, that's a state road, 4th Street, right? There has to be a way for the state to come in and revamp how that road is, because that tight little turn coming from Main Street onto 4th, making a left, you know, a fire engine. Yeah, a fire engine actually that day hit a car.
Yeah.
And people come flying around there, number one, but there's a lot of wasted room there where they could move stuff over and give a little bit more room for people heading northbound on 4th. So I don't know if you can talk to Kelly at all about that, but.
I think I should, especially as a refresher after seeing that fire truck.
Yeah.
You know.
It's narrow there. I go through there a lot.
I came in this morning that way.
And going out on 3rd Street, the line of sight we need, because I cut through the lot a fair amount. When you cut through, you don't have a line of sight to the left and the right to pull out into 3rd Street.
No, you don't.
You do. You
can't
because
see.
of the parking places.
You can't see.
You can't see.
Well,
and you really have to creep and be careful coming out of
You eliminate maybe a couple of them parking places right there on the end. It probably has out some.
Well, I know a lot of you guys have gotten phone calls, but we just, I wanted Julie to give you a brief as to what our logical thinking was and where we are and what we still have coming to us.
All the more reason we need a parking garage over on that side. That was I hate to say it was a good suggestion on the consultant's part to at some point put a parking garage out there so we can do some things over here.
And it's been said twice, but I'd like the public to know there is not designated parking for magistrates.
There is not.
Nope.
Nope.
There is not.
One thing I noticed yesterday, I mean, it's really windy, and like over here behind us, the parking, they have the buckets with the concrete with the sign in them, and I saw, you know, a bucket turned over. I think that you guys need to like permanently put them in the ground. I had an issue with Red Robin here a couple weeks ago, big wind, the sign blew in my car and damaged it. I mean, so that just sets you up for a liability situation.
Actually, I pushed or pulled the 2 handicap parking spot signs back so that if they fell, they wouldn't fall on somebody's car, because I came up and both of them were down one day, so.
It's a work in progress.
Yes, you are.
Thank you. I resemble that remark.
All right, anything else, Ms. Trille?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's, okay, now we're back to, with Chris Herron.
Well, I told my parking. Already told you that. Nothing else other than, we're gonna have a transition with our district judge here really soon. Judge Dotson, he is gonna be our circuit judge, and it's just a matter of time before. Right now we have a visiting judge or that's doing the circuit work, but he's gonna soon be appointed to take over that position. So we're going to be without a district judge, which I'm sure we'll have a special judge to do that, but hopefully we can have a good working relationship, because with Judge Dotson, it's been good as far as, if I need to get people out of jail, to help, the spacing within the jail or whatever. He's been very easy to deal with, or if there's somebody that's, in jail and, has a lot of medical issues, which, the jail, the county's having to pay for, whatever, we can do things to be able to let them out so that they can use their own medical cards and things like that. So I just wanted to put you all on notice that, we're going to be without a permanent district judge, for at least through November here very soon.
Man.
Who's taking Dotson's place, anybody?
We don't know yet,
Don't know
because
yet. Well, they have to
technically there's not a position to be filled, because Dotson hasn't been appointed to that. So once that happens, then it starts the process all over again. Just like you can't do anything before when Peckler retired until he actually retired, and then it starts a process, 30 to 60 day process. There's a nominating committee that nominates people, to be appointed for that position.
Governor have to appoint him?
Well, the nominating committee first, and then the 3 people that are nominated it gets sent to the governor, and then the governor, picks between those persons. So, yes, as soon as Dotson, which I think it makes sense that he get appointed, since when he filed for election for circuit judge, that nobody filed against him. So it's just, it would not make sense to me for, the governor to appoint somebody when Dotson's gonna be the elected person anyway.
Yeah.
So, in the situation though with district, that's a little bit different, because there's 3 people running for district judge. So I don't know what they do, if they just appoint somebody just to be that special judge until the election's over with, or if they put somebody in there up until the election taking place. In
district judge a 4-year term counselor or 4?
Yes, it's 4. The circuit judges are 8-year terms.
8.
So
6.
But yeah, just wanted to make you guys aware of that. And I have nothing else.
All right, well, thank you. Darlene, you're up.
Yeah, that's me. Okay. Back to earlier. Sorry about that. I neglected to put money on my 2 new line items that I needed money on, so I had to go back and do a little revamp page. It only added $1,000 onto there, but my transfers between the funds would total $32,425.27.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to make these are the budget for cash.
The transfers between the 2 funds, that's the 2 pages.
Budget transfers.
Budget transfers, okay. Have Magic Gaines, second Magic Cullen. Is there any questions about the amounts or presentation of the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay, what else you got, Darlene?
For the most part, don't have a whole lot. I was sick a lot of last week, so I apologize. I planned on having a little bit more for you this week, and I was absent, off and on through the week. We did have joint jail meeting Friday. I didn't get to fully do my thing and attend and present everything the way I wanted to, but we're going to meet again this Friday, and I plan on going over the joint jail budget with everybody on the committee, and hopefully you all will see that next meeting.
Perfect. Thank you.
So,
And what's the time for the joint jail meeting?
10 o'clock here.
Here.
Here. 10 o'clock here.
Is there a reason why there's an extra one?
It's working through the budget.
Working the joint jail budget and the budget together, that both have to be complete by the 1st of April.
Got it, thank you.
oh,
Okay.
I'm sorry. Also, just as an FYI, meetings for the budget meetings basically starting next Wednesday. We have a little short, quick one, I think maybe today after court. Just to go over a couple
Have y'all got
occupational
the
tax
schedule on
things,
those, so you know when your areas?
Twice.
Okay,
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say, I should have given it out to everybody, but yeah, they're
Yep.
starting next week.
We got physical and digital copies, so.
Okay.
Okay. All right, thank you. We'll move, it says committee reports, but this is the first one of the month, so I believe it's district reports today.
Right.
So we'll start go around the room, Tom.
Thank you. Just want to let you know that we had a wonderful Portland cleanup, and I received a lot of comments about litter all throughout the county, and I was able to talk to the group of, well, I think we had over 50 people there cleaning up, and we met early, and then we had lunch later, hamburgers. But there were a lot of concerns about the litter. I let everybody know that it's a $10 million cost statewide that we learned last year at a KCO meeting. I've committed as much as I can to get the inmates out. I've said this before a couple of years ago, but when Toyota came here, Kentucky was one of the cleanest states that they visited, and the Georgetown, Scott County area won the contract. They left many a state because they found just the slightest bit of litter. We've got to start addressing that somehow countywide, because there were criticisms and really justifiable when you see how many bags and all the different debris that we were able to pick up on the road.
I read this morning, Tom, there was 123 bags that you guys collected.
And not only that, there were other things. I mean, huge pieces of car equipment that was tossed along the side. I personally had to pick up well over 50 beer cans. My wife would get out at times and do the pickup likewise, but we've got to address that, because it is a downer when a corporation is coming to visit, just like Toyota did so many years ago. Secondly, I'm thrilled that, separate from what you've heard from me 6 months ago, when I actually wrote to the mayor about the use of the Trille water tower for some antenna for all sorts of services, not the least of which would be AT&T and perhaps T-Mobile. Carlos Miller, the new mayor of Perryville, contacted me a couple of days ago because T-Mobile has approached him about the old water tower in Perryville. And I know the judge was with Holly Spade yesterday representing AT&T. It's such a critical situation. Phil and I, 6 months ago, 8 drop calls in 20 minutes. Last night, Daniel Elliott was driving back from Frankfurt, called me, and in about a 12-minute phone call, our phone broke 5 times, and it wasn't on his end. It was because of where I live and had lack of service. So hopefully, and it was summarily.
You're gonna have to move, Tom.
It was summarily dismissed by a comment made in City Hall about 6 months ago when they talked about it. Mike Parris sees it as a revenue stream, and it would be, because rather than building a tower, they can be up there with antenna. So I'm readdressing that with Mayor Parris and Earl Coffey very soon. Mitchellsburg Knob, how many of you are aware that not only did a semi get stuck, but he was within inches of going into a ravine about 6-8 weeks ago? Apparently he took out the brand new guardrail, so I'm going to be writing to Kelly. please, and thank you, Ronnie, for asking me this morning. The annual pie supper is on again this year, 2 years without it with COVID. Peg's making her wonderful pecan pie. There will be an auction. It is a big fundraiser for all of the Forkland area. There will be a dinner, real expensive, everything you want, spaghetti dinner with all the fixings, salad, and drinks for $7. So please.
Dessert.
And dessert, thank you, yeah, there's plenty of dessert, but that's dessert provided beyond the
we
pie.
can cut some in pies.
Folks, bring your pocketbook, because I was stunned 3 or 4 years ago when I went for the first time. There were pies and cakes going for $300 because it's a fundraiser for Portland. It's a great event. It's a lot of fun. People buy tables well, they're actually sitting together because it's $7 a head to get there anyway, so you're not really buying a table. But plan on the 19th, Saturday the 19th, 6 o'clock. You'll get a great supper. You'll have a great time. You don't have to buy a pie, but please come out because it's one of the best events that Portland has. And last time I was there 3 years ago, the gym was absolutely full.
It's full.
The judge was there.
I'm looking forward to being full this year.
Amen.
I just hope it's good weather.
Yeah.
Oh, it's inside.
I know, but still hope it's good weather.
We won't have any snow.
If it's good weather, you have more people come out.
Yeah. Thank you. That's
All right,
it,
thank you.
Nothing too much, just gonna let you know, especially you, Judge, and I'll work with your schedule and other schedules, but I'm meeting on Monday with the directors of Center Works. I'm actually hoping to have the pulse of the people for
There?
the 5th District at
That'd be a
Center
great
Works.
location.
And I was just asking Magistrate Cullen here when the public school spring break was, because I'm shooting for right after, the week after the public school spring break.
Okay.
So right mid-April.
That will give them some welcome exposure to those people who may not normally frequent
Right.
that facility.
Yes.
That'd be great. Super. Thank you.
All right, I got a few things here. I know you're shocked by that, but first off, I want to congratulate Dewey Cummins from EMS on his retirement, 20 years. General and I were out for that on Monday night a week ago. It was, it's sad, but we're grateful that he chose to serve Boyle County for as many years as he did. Let's see here. Are we? I won't bring this up then, right?
Was that published?
I'll do that at the end.
Good deal. What's that?
Should we have known Dave's retirement? I didn't get anything on this, don't remember.
I heard because I stopped over there, and so that's how I heard of it. We got some more good news. Again, our staff that we have here is fantastic. That we've now surpassed $500,000.
This is big.
In delinquent tax collection. We were at $480,000, I think, and now we are over $500,000, and we've got a couple of larger ones possibly coming in, which will be great. And this is just from 2017 to present. And so what, I'm grateful that they've taken on this issue that was issues that before them, past due, and it just, I hate to think what we lost over the last few years, that was never collected. So, but I'm grateful that, that you all have been proactive and stepped up to take care of that. Someone asked me the other day what the status of the roofs at Constitution Square are. Where are we at with that? I really tried hard making it out to the meeting yesterday, but I
was there, and it was one of the subjects that we talked about, and I just pulled a number out of the sky after walking around the campus before we started our meeting, and I commented to the committee that we're looking at $1 million worth of roofs on those buildings, and I know that's a fact from what I've studied a couple of years ago when I first reported to you about Williamsburg and Winston-Salem. It's going to be an excruciating cost. We're going to have to find grants.
All right. Well, And I think it would be nice if we could kind of start working on some of them though, kind of get.
We did way back discuss the plan of trying to do one a year.
Right.
To move forward on that.
Yeah, I think that's where we kind of need to be.
You know, they just, down at the house there on Maple, down the road from Grayson's Tavern, the Russell House, I think it is.
Yeah.
They just put a new cedar shake roof on there.
Right, yeah, I've got pictures on my phone of that going on.
And we didn't see them do that.
Yeah. Sorry.
So, I've asked, just so you know, I've asked Dwayne to reach out to those people who did that.
Good.
And, and try to get some, requests for bids and proposals on what they might could do it for, and look at the cabins there at Constitution Square.
The real tough thing is gonna be the tear-off might equal or exceed the replacement roofs. There's this much moss on many, many buildings.
And that will come back because of the tree canopies there.
Absolutely.
All right, so last thing I have here, last meeting went really long. And there was a large discussion about annexation, and I'll be honest, I don't think it needed to happen. But questions were asked, you know, things were thrown out about going to the ethics board, you know, if whatever happened. So I did what I think should have been done prior to the meeting. I called the Advocate Messenger, spoke with Jeff Moreland, who's the editor, just to get an understanding if we needed to go down that route and how that article came about. And the article came about because we had a discussion 2 meetings ago about the annexation, and we generally, the majority of us spoke out against the annexation, and so the person that was reporting kind of took that as, you know, we were uniformly against this annexation. She didn't really hear any opposition to it, so that's kind of what she wrote. And so it was not, you know, any one person that they spoke to. They said they didn't speak to anybody from the fiscal court. They only got that article from watching our meeting. And so, I think that it's important that, John, I'm not trying to attack you here, but instead of making accusations thrown at ethics board things, that maybe we do our homework and research to find out before, you know, I think we've all worked really well together. And we've got a good relationship, and I really am honored to be on this court with everybody, but you know, that could have cut that meeting out a lot just by checking sources. And I said to Jeff too, I said, if you could, you know, make sure you guys are reporting accurately, because that caused some friction in our fiscal court meeting that didn't need to happen. So
because we never took and vote or action on it.
We did not vote, you know, or any of that stuff. We just discussed it, and that was it. So, but you know, the reporter should not have just assumed that everybody was on board. So anyway, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I don't have anything.
Okay, you don't?
Good. Only thing I have, I want to thank Dwayne and his crew for fixing that door. And I don't know if you all noticed or not, but when you open it and turn it loose, it closes a lot easier. So I'm sure he fixed it. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Oh, no, you don't. You got one more thing.
We're trying to.
You have one other thing, because I saw an article in the newspaper today with your picture in it.
Oh, really? I didn't see it. I haven't seen it yet.
It's about a certain scholarship.
Excuse me, I think everybody knows about it. We started out, and it's been that way for a long time, with an $8,000 scholarship. You split it any way you want to. And I wrote it up and...
Keiko.
I'm talking about Keiko, not out of my pocket. Keiko.
He's gonna match it.
Kentucky Association of Counties, more or less. And they agreed to my recommendation to raise it, to double it to $16,000, which I think gives everybody a little more money. And I guess I did it before I give it a lot of thought on schools. I was thinking of Boyle and Danville school system. It'd be $8,000 apiece. And so evidently there must be some disgruntled people out there saying, well, you should have included the mother school, the
Danville Christian
Academy. So if you start splitting it up, the first thing that you're going to do, nobody's going to get very much money at all. And but I'm sorry that I I did leave them out, not intentionally, but it just, well, it happened, and I'm sorry for that. But we will make that, or I will make that presentation in May to 2 graduating seniors from Boyle and Dental High School. And they'll get $2,000 a year for 4 years. It's certain requirements like in-state, you gotta be in in-state school, they gotta stay in school. And, or even go to a trade school. Doesn't make any difference.
Good.
So that is included in that. So I think that's very important. I'm glad to be in a position. That's one good thing about being president of the organization, is able to bring $16,000 in scholarships back to my community.
That's awesome.
I'm very proud of that.
It's great.
Another thing I want to point out is, I don't know how many of us are going to the conference, but the conference, our conference, the Magistrate's conference, does start tomorrow. And will end Thursday evening, the way I understand it, late. So if you haven't signed up, call JC or his secretary and let's get signed up. But it's an honor, and I'm glad you guys are all backing me. You're all at the swearing in, and I appreciate Tom taking pictures and this and that. So, and my buddy, the counselor over there, even had a video that he sent to me. I appreciate that. So much. If I can do anything else, let me know. We've got till the end of November, so, and I'm enjoying the ride along. It's taking a lot of time, but what else am I gonna do? I'm retired.
You mentioned Shelley earlier. In my history of going over there, I've never seen anybody better than Shelley. She's remarkable.
We're very fortunate. We have 58 wonderful employees at KCO. I can't say anything bad about any of them. We've had 1 or 2 we've had to let go during my time, but just the fact that we didn't need them or that wasn't doing the job in the spot she's in. But Shelley is, I mean, you just can't beat her. We lost a real good person back during the retirement, Ellen Williams. Some of you may remember Ellen. Was a lobbyist for years for not only KCO but different companies. And Ellen had a real good rapport with different people in Frankfurt and got a lot done for us. And Ellen became a personal friend of mine, and she and her fiance are out west somewhere, probably horseback riding. So, but anyhow, Shelley does. Thank you, Tom, bringing that up. And tell Shelley you're bragging on her at the court meeting.
Oh, don't tell.
So she always does a wonderful job. And she's one of these people that's very, very approachable. As you found out, you call her anytime you want to. And she has a couple ladies under her that's coming up and doing a real good job. One young lady studying for, I don't know if she's studying for bar exam right now, but she will be probably in the next 6 months or so. But that takes care of that. And I just appreciate you guys supporting me, all of you, and ladies. And you next. Do you have anything to say before I adjourn? Since I'm,
well, one thing is, we're going to do Pulse of the People. Have 2 dates set, but haven't verified them with the judge yet. But I'll let you know when that's going to be. More likely it's going to be after we get back. But I'll let you know when we're going to do that. But it's going to be at City Hall in Junction City when we do it. Another thing is this dinner that we provide and paying for our works and MEs and all that. We need to know basically how much more money that each one of us need to put in before we leave today, because this is coming up pretty soon, ain't it? This dinner?
17th.
St. Patrick's Day, it's the 17th. The judge might know the number.
What the note was.
Yeah, 11 to 1.
Okay, do you know have a night, what?
Next Thursday.
I wasn't in that meeting, but the judge was. When he gets back, we'll ask him.
Well, to my calculation, I know we've got $168 right now. And they've got it down to $550.
Okay.
Which is a good price. That's about
It is a good
$6
price.
person.
So I figure it's gonna be a little bit over $50 more per person. and that should take care of it.
I'm in.
And
I'm in.
Jason said if it was more than that, he'd take care of it, so.
I got it.
He's got plenty, Jason's got plenty.
Can we go back to the cater and see if we can get more stuff?
Huh?
Well, the more stuff you get, the more it's gonna cost.
I'm talking about the commitment of my colleague over here.
I'll just put $100 in, we'll call it a day.
Sorry, I had to step back up.
Adjourn being Judge Pro Tem.
That was a call from Miss Sarah Jackson I need to take, so, a point of clarity.
Why don't we just put in, start say $60 and round it off that way, you say the 50 plus something.
Is this for the first responders?
Yeah. Yeah, I figured up it's gonna run a little $50 more than what we've already paid.
And it's well worth it for a guy.
And, so.
Well, if you guys won, I'm the one that got you onto this, so.
No, we're all good.
I'm happy to put extra in.
No,
Well,
we
why
got
don't you
it.
put in 100, put 100 down and then.
We'll all
That's why I plan on paying.
We can all put 50 in it, it's not gonna be much more than 50 for
I'll take care of the
Jason.
rest.
Is that all right?
That's fine with me.
Okay.
Did we get around the room?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're at Ronnie right now.
John's
I was, telling we're gonna do Pulse of the People sometime this month.
Yeah.
When I get,
We
you
get,
know,
we get the
get
schedule.
together, so it's gonna be at City Hall, probably in a couple of weeks, some Monday, probably,
Okay.
not the 14th, probably the 21st. But it's, you know, it's your schedule, so we'll get with you on that, so. Other than that, that's all I have.
And again, I'm shooting for mid-April on that, just so we don't get too many all at
Yeah,
once.
well,
Make sure we all know.
One in March, this will be in March, yours will be in April, and so that'd be good.
Ronnie, pancake breakfast as well.
Yes, I forgot about it. We are having a pancake breakfast at the fire station at City Hall. And what date is that, 19th?
I think it's the 12th, actually. Yeah, 12th, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m.
This coming Saturday.
$5.
Okay.
8
12th,
to 11.
8 to 11. Everybody come out, they have a good breakfast.
Silent auction, I always get a couple good things with
John?
silent auction. I got an anniversary coming up.
Couple of things. First, Jason, I appreciate you completing the research on that particular incident. I hope the reporter who's probably listening today learned something from that you ask questions before you start putting out perceptions that are incorrect. And that's all I'll say about it, but thank you for the update on that. Tom, to follow up on something that you brought up, you went to the meeting yesterday, and Constitution Square looks tired. I'm down there, I go by it almost daily. Jason knows when you work downtown, you see everything goes on down there. I'm sure the committee talked about what they could plan, what we could do, it's our property, to spruce it up, because visitors will start coming very shortly, and we want to put our best foot forward on it. Trees need to be trimmed. It just needs to look alive, and I don't know what the committee plans on doing. I just want to say I hope that they will do something to make it look more attractive and in good repair and appropriate for visitors who are coming. Just like you said, they see our trash on and we don't like that. So
You and I worked at, 3 years ago when we put the mulch out and all that sort of thing?
Yes, we did, yeah.
Now, that's not been part of the discussion. Yesterday focused tremendously on George's project of the video programming that we're going to be doing. And that of course doesn't visually for the campus change things. But it was mentioned that signage needs to be revised, renewed, some of it replaced. And it was not mentioned that, to my knowledge, and help me out on this, I think that would have to be a bid process. There was an individual talking very appropriately about making sure that signs were professional and everything. But I think to do that, we're going to be up into, I'm not sure that it wouldn't require being bid out anyway. Help me on that.
It may not, it depends on if it exceeds $3,000 or not, but.
I think with the vision that was projected yesterday, that we would probably exceed that, to do it, again, as one element of improving the sighting of the whole campus. But I will convey your thoughts back to Ben and see what, perhaps we need to have one more of those days like you and I worked that time.
Well, the time is here.
Yeah.
Hopefully, the weather will be like it was a few days ago and back up bringing people to town. And it's amazing how many folks come over there just to have lunch. It's amazing how many young people are there, school kids going through. It is an important part of not only our downtown, but our history of our county. So,
Our state.
Absolutely.
I think all we can do to have it looking its best is important.
Well, the farmer's market's gonna start down there too soon.
Right. We talked a few meetings ago about, when Brent came about a smoking ordinance. I don't know if we want to, as a group, continue to pursue that. I think, Jason, you said that Chris might be doing some research on it, but then you had a health issue and that kind of broke it. But I don't know if we as a court want to continue to pursue that and maybe ask Chris if he would continue his research into it. Or if we don't want to pursue it, then don't waste your time.
I mean, I already prepared something, but it's my
Okay.
understanding that there might not be the vote. You know, you might not have enough for the vote, so.
Well, I don't know if we didn't want to continue talking about it, considering it, but since you've done some research, I was just trying to save you some time.
Right, well, I mean, it's there, it's just kind of like in your all's hands.
What do we want to do, folks?
I don't want to pursue it.
Do we want to take a vote on it?
I think we should continue to pursue it.
I do too.
I do too.
But it makes no sense if it's not gonna go anywhere.
Well, that's kind of why I brought it up.
I don't think we need to pursue it.
I don't personally, so.
You don't either, do you, Judge? Ronnie?
No,
okay.
I talked to farmers out there and really, it's not an issue to them one way or the other.
Then I'll make a motion that we continuing to pursue it with some research by Chris and some presentation. And I will say, let's take a hand vote. I'll make that motion, Judge.
State it completely with the thought of what it is.
With what now?
With enacting a countywide no smoking ordinance.
Not, just to continue the research on it and
The research
review.
for
It's for
enacting.
research, it's not an action, it's just that we continue to pursue looking into it.
I mean, the research is all there. I mean, it's just a matter of.
Then let's move.
No, the research really hasn't been brought up to the court, because I have some.
The ordinance is pretty much ready to go. It's been worked on for 2+ years, so.
I haven't seen it. Have you?
I mean, I've seen parts of it, yeah, but
Do we as a court want to continue to pursue down that road?
I would like to.
That's his motion, so.
Yeah.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, motion's been made by Magistrate Kaywood and seconded by Magistrate Gay to continue pursuing the viability of a countywide smoking ban. Is that correctly stated? This is not to have a countywide smoking ban.
No, it's to continue to pursue it, to research, to learn more about
the research
it.
and the presentation to the court. Okay, and it's been requested for a hand vote. So,
Discussion.
Go ahead.
This is personal to me because my father suffered significantly with cancer. So severely that I had to take care of him, and he recovered from the surgery that he had and lived 9 more years. But literally, he lost his soft palate, his hard palate, all the teeth at the top of his mouth, and had a prosthesis that had to be cleaned every time he ate anything. And it had to be done so carefully that I had to help my mother do it, because you literally would be touching his brain if you didn't do it properly. Notwithstanding that issue and respecting Brent Plevin's presentation, take that as research. There are only 8 out of 120 counties that have some degree. Some are minuscule and some are rather comprehensive of a countywide ban. However, there are dozens, if you have those maps that Brent gave us. This is one of those situations where you can take the same data, the same research, and adequately or more than adequately argue both sides of the issue. And my argument is, excuse me, that Brent gave us ammunition to say, allow the cities, including the fact that Mile and Perryville has voted a ban, allow the cities to make those determinations, but I don't want to be the 9th or 10th out of 120 counties to implement that ban.
They've already got the ban, where you can smoke or not smoke in restaurants and everything else.
And that's done
And
by the business.
Yeah, by the business. So
And I walk with my feet when I walk into a shop that has candles, because it's an instant migraine, and I've been twice in the hospital with migraines, and I take episodic and often daily medication for severe migraines. I don't think many of you know that. But are we going to ban scented candles?
there's no,
I rest my case.
there's no stopping to it.
Is there any other discussion?
Well, I will only say you had brought up Toyota before and how, clean they wanted things to be. I can almost guarantee one of the other things they probably looked for was an area that had a smoking ban and non-smoking in their facilities. So you can't have your cake and eat it too. It is larger businesses that we're trying to get here to come here do look for things like that. They do inquire about your stances on certain things like smoking. I don't care if somebody smokes. My problem is the secondhand smoke. My problem is what it does to my son and other people that have really bad asthmatic issues. My problem is what it could do to somebody that served their country, and has respiratory issues. And you don't realize just walking into a place, yeah, people can choose whether they go or not, but if you walk into a place that has smoking and you've got somebody with severe asthma or other issues, it can really, just walking in and out can really do a number on them. It can hospitalize them. So that was the intent behind my request. But we talk about economic development a lot, and a lot of your larger companies that you want to come here, that they're going to look for ideas where we have stronger stances on things like this.
Well, Jason, where is in Boyle County, you've got a place that business you go into that smokes?
I don't know, you had mentioned like 3 that last time
One,
we talked.
that's all I got now.
One in Junction City by the railroad tracks.
The railroad tracks, and I mean, there ain't a whole lot of people goes in that one.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you got in your section?
No.
Okay, have you got in your section?
Nothing I will.
Have we got anything in town?
So we're going to play catch up instead of...
No, that's not catch-up, that's we've already got this implemented already in our county. Businesses don't have non-smoking, people can't smoke in them. So, we've done got this done, and then we're gonna turn around and say nobody in the county can smoke?
I like the ordinance deals with other things. So, you think, can't smoke in your business or not, but I'm just looking, for example, at Fayette County. For example, they have where you can't smoke within, so many feet of, the door of your business, because what you see in a lot of restaurants, I mean, even around here, you drive around and you see all the employees sitting out the back door and they're all, smoking.
Well, see, that's already in Danville. You ain't supposed to smoke within 10 feet
of
the
entrance.
Business.
Of the entrance.
Of the entrance. So, but what's happening is you've got restaurants that are going to go out and enforce that, because if they do, they're going to run their people.
I used to all the time.
But
somebody,
well, you probably one of how many in this town?
Well, because the rest of your people that are standing out, actually in your dining room, don't want to smell that smoke. So yeah, you're going to tell them.
Yeah, I can understand. I know that shit.
Well,
Tom, let's vote. Let's call for a vote.
Tom, to your point, well said. Respectfully submit to you that you can make it as wide or as narrow as you want to. So that's the reason I suggested, let's continue to look at it, then we'll all decide together. This is just a little side information. Vaping in the schools is a very serious thing. ASAP just gave some money to the school systems to put in monitors in the restrooms. So there's some more things involved in this than just totally smoking, particularly with the young people who are doing the vaping.
But it's banned by them by law right now.
But
they cannot do vaping in schools.
But they
you get caught with a vape thing, you get trouble.
It's to send a message. You know, Jason talked about secondary smoke. Absolutely. If you've never had a lung issue, you do not know.
I think a pretty good message has already been sent that we don't have but one spot in the whole county that even does it indoor.
Well, then let's just take a vote and decide, and the majority will give us guidance.
Okay, we'll keep the protocol as we always have. All those in favor of continuing to research this issue, raise your right hand. All those opposed to continuing to research this issue, raise their right hand. Does that look like 4-3, gentlemen?
4-3. Okay.
Motion
fails. I don't know how you do this, or whether y'all want to do it, but people that we ask to go and represent our county are paying a whole lot more for their travel, ask mileage, than really what we've been doing. Do we want to adjust or have a discussion about that? I just bring it up as a point.
You talking about transportation costs?
Yes, that we had passed that we would reimburse them for their for mileage.
If I understand, there is a federal mileage.
There is a
rate.
43 cents.
But the federal
58.
Oh, it's gone up. It used to be 43.
Yeah.
Well, it needs to go up even more because that 58 is a year and a half old.
I just didn't, and it's gone up obviously within the last several weeks considerably. So, is that? Do we want to have that discussion or make an adjustment on what they're doing to represent us?
I think we need to have a discussion on when the GAO or the federal government is going to release their approved rate for mileage reimbursement, because that's what all government agencies draw from, is that figure. And I don't know when they do that.
I don't think we can change it, dude.
We can't change it. If we do, then we're stepping out on the plank by ourselves. We have to use that rate that is calculated.
And I understand that, but these are exception times, so sometimes you have to think outside the box. So I just throw it out there.
Well, let's put it on the agenda. If you want to put it on the agenda to discuss what that is, I don't know. I'd like to find out where it comes from and when it's done.
The 58 cents represents.
It's 58.5
58.5
per
cents.
mile.
It represents the wear and tear on your vehicle and gas. So, like my truck, for instance, if I were to fill up at, I get about 15 miles to the gallon. So divided by $3.99, I'm essentially, the gas now is costing me 26 cents a gallon. So the extra, 31 cents or whatever it is the wear and tear that you're supposed to cover on the vehicle as well. So I think there's actually some still wiggle room there that we're still technically covering the gas at the 58.5 cents, but
it's what it is today. It's probably going to get worse.
Yeah.
I suspect. I want to be wrong, but I think it's going to get worse. Should we take care of the people who represent us?
Let's set aside some time to discuss that.
I just throw it out. Thank you.
What else? Is that it?
Looks to me like we got an HR director and Julie and everybody else in the court without us having something to worry about.
We'll do some research and bring it back to the court.
Yeah.
If may I? Because I was just double checking with Mariah, and we go by what DLG
State does,
basically
yeah.
states it's the 44 cents a mile.
See, that's what I thought, yeah.
Oh, wow.
How much
So what
is it?
is
But
it?
it changes quarterly.
44 cents a mile?
It's set at 44 cents,
That's what,
44 cents, well, she wrote 44 cents
Keiko's
per
been paying me
gallon.
more than that just
Yeah.
recently.
That's
that's what I thought it was. I thought it was
I thought it was 58 cents.
Yeah,
Okay,
it-
44 cents per mile.
I've been getting 58 from Keiko, Judge.
It normally changes quarterly, and,
Tell me about it.
and it does change based on what
And that's set by DLG?
DLG, yeah.
No, it's not set, they're the pass-through.
Or, well,
This is
yeah.
a federal agency that sets that rate, because the military, everybody uses it when they travel on per diem. They
Well, we
use
need
the
to find
same-
exactly what we are getting.
I know.
It's just a little different times right now.
58 cents sounds a lot better than 44.
Yeah. Especially us getting ready to drive.
We'll have some more information for the next work session.
Well, if we're researching that, and you guys, I mean, I don't know if I should mention this, because I don't submit receipts or whatever, but
I don't either.
I've talked to a few different counties about things, and they say that unless you're traveling more than 50 miles, they don't reimburse for various things, like hotels or other
Most of them
things.
don't.
Yeah, we do, and so, I don't know if that's something we ever want to discuss or not, but, you know.
So all those conferences and elections wouldn't be covered.
Right.
Yeah, it's just one way though. You count both ways on your mileage.
Yeah, but that includes hotels and everything.
Yeah, I know it. You can't, I'm not complaining.
You might,
on this
you might want
mileage-
to look at your food allowance, because those prices are going up.
John's got his turn. Anything else, John? Tired of sitting here.
We will examine all those.
We got 3 more hours, Phil.
Yeah.
We're trying to beat the other one.
Looking at the clock, we'll be in here.
I was looking
3.5 hours.
at the finance.ky.gov, which is our, state finance cabinet, and through March 31st, 2022, it's 44 cents a mile, but then it's set to be for April 1st through 2022 through June 30th, it's set to be reviewed for that time period. So it's coming up.
Okay.
Sounds good.
44 cents a mile.
It's 44. I mean, it went up last April. This time it was 43 cents.
It'll go to probably $1 now.
Hey, it was 43 cents when we were selling insurance.
All right, to close this out, I saw on social media, and I just got off the phone with Miss Sarah Jackson from the Transportation Cabinet about some very good news, where Boyle County has been selected as a regional driver's license center. This is huge for all county residents.
Yeah.
And on May 27th of last year, Tom and I sat in this very room and had a Zoom meeting with Commissioner Matt Cole and Sarah Jackson.
I was here too.
And you were here too, Ronnie, that's right, you were. And made a presentation, which she said was compelling.
Yeah.
And I showed where 67% of the workers in this county come from outside the county. And so we are a viable hub of commerce and activity. And so I am just thankful that the Transportation Cabinet has found there will be a press release, and I am working the issues on the wording of the press release with the Transportation Cabinet to make sure that we reflect their sentiments exactly. But there is what is called a soft opening at 1714 Parallel Road. And that will be by appointment only, where driver's license stuff can start taking place during a transition to a more permanent, full-up center. But what caught my attention back in May of last year was the fact that we do have, as actually Kay Wood and others have pointed out, an aging population here in the county that don't see would really be hesitant to drive to Somerset, Richmond, or Lexington just to get a driver's license. And may be challenged to do online, is the only other means of complying with getting a driver's license. So the fact that we will become a regional center is a huge plus for all the residents of Boyle County and the surrounding counties that don't have to travel much further to get their license and stuff going forward. So I'm excited about this news. It'll be a press release and we'll put it on the county's webpage and the county's Facebook page. But you're exactly right, Ronnie. You were there and Tom was there during the presentation. And you guys feel free if you want to say anything. But at that, I just think it was a great initiative that this body, that I had the opportunity to present to make sure that the residents had everything that they needed.
I can speak for my district. We have a disproportionate share of folks over 65. We have some of the farthest driving distances. I would suspect on average we have the farthest driving distances to get in for licensing and other needs. So I'm particularly grateful, Judge, for your leadership on this, because I know that it is a burden for many of the folks, whether they're disabled or not, but we have a lot of disabled folks in my district as well. So thank you very much, Judge.
Well, I would say that's the best news we've had all day.
It really is.
And I thank you for your leadership on this.
Yeah.
Because this would not have happened if you hadn't, pursued it.
Well, maybe somebody else might have, but I did, and this court did, and so that.
But anyway,
I'm tickled for everybody.
I came in with Trille. As Trille opened the door, I came in, and she said not Trille, but Courtney. And Courtney just getting back from out there, she said, well, there's going to put the new office in. You got to do some work on it yet.
Right.
Said.
Yeah.
It's right there next to the B-lot, I believe she said.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
we present this. I think the whole county needs to be involved in. Well, I know you're going to notify everybody, but it's such a big plus, not only for our county, but Casey County, Mercer County.
There's not that
Gary
many
County.
in this state.
Yeah. Well, were there 8 or 9 at the time? That
we were
on the bubble at that time.
Yeah, we were on the bubble, and
well, she told us when we met with her that they was looking at maybe some other places, but this is all they could do right now. So
out of 120 counties.
Yeah, I'm glad they chose us.
Well, it can be done online, it can be done by phone, but I'm almost positive the first one you do has to be done in person, because they need to verify. I mean, this is on the same lines of getting a passport. That's the kind of documentation that they're going to require. And Senator Higdon, when I was down in Casey County at one of his conferences with Daniel, had said that they don't understand why we don't issue the passport card. It's kind of redundant. It's the same thing. But yeah, so many people will have to go to these centers for their first license, and then they can renew them online after that. But this is, that I can think of, I mean, this is the second time that the Transportation Department, Secretary Gray's department has really
blessed Boyle County.
Yeah, let's not say, I mean, with your leadership, you've been proactive on a lot of things, between this
and the hospital
becoming a race vaccination center, and also with the 40% increase on the taxes, So I like Ronnie, I appreciate your leadership and making sure Boyle County is placed first.
Gentlemen, we all ran to do what we do, and that's part of what I signed up to do, and I'm glad to have had now a positive impact on some actions that has been taken. So thank you for that, and I think the court needs to. We did this together. So
yeah, thank you.
Thank you, and I don't have anything else. You'll see in the days to come for the next court session, we plan to have some. Hopefully, we plan to have some ceremonial presentations of some things, and I look forward to researching information as it regards to those requests by the court today. And does anybody have any last words before we adjourn?
Mayor, Judge, I would just ask that we adjourn in honor and memory of Mayor Bernie Hunstead.
I think that is excellent.
Professor as well at the center.
Yes, and also Professor Dr. Ann Lubbers, who tragically passed away.
How do you say the name?
Ann Lubbers.
Lubbers?
Yeah, it's A-N-N-E, and then Lubbers, L-U-B-B-E-R-S. She's was a long-time professor at Center College in environmental studies, and was actually tragically died of a brain aneurysm the other day, and she was teaching her last class at Center after a long. She was a very loved and now in her home, but she was loved and admired and respected professor by all on campus.
I appreciate that as a good call, Jamey. Thank you for that.
Yes.
So with the, entertain a motion to adjourn and second, then we'll.
Make a motion.
Motion to adjourn and seconded. Gentlemen, ladies, we stand in adjournment in honor and recognition of Ann Lubbers, a Center College professor who has passed, and her service to this community and to the college, and to former Mayor Bernie Hunstead in his service to his nation, his state, and his city. Gentlemen, thank you for those those commitments to the Boyle County. We stand in adjournment.
What do we do about